Well, a weather day that doesn't look too bad right now. There's a chance of rain a little bit later on, but 81 degrees, feels like 83. A nice breeze out of the southwest at 9 miles per hour. As we get ready for a little college football here in Madison. There's the head coach of the Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles, Watson Brown, in his 7th season at the helm of the Golden Eagles, the brother of Texas head coach Mack Brown. And there's Gary Anderson in his first season at Wisconsin. What a start that he had. The series history. It's the first time these two schools have ever met in college football. But the Badgers are 2-0 in their history against the Ohio Valley Conference, the conference that Tennessee Tech calls home. Golden Eagles are going to start with the football. And we are just about ready to get underway here in Madison. Kyle French's kickoff from the 5-yard line, taken by Cody Forbes. Forbes across the 20 and upended near the 25-yard line by Vince Beagle. And Arian Stone, the quarterback for the Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles, who may win the award today for the shiniest helmets in college football, making his way out onto the field. And he had a very good week last week in the opener against Cumberland.
He really did. 8 out of 11, 143 yards, couple of touchdowns, was effective running the ball as well. We were talking with the coaching staff. Offensive coordinator Stephen Brown said he's got a cannon for an arm, but he's just more comfortable going outside the pocket, especially in the passing game when he's looking downfield.
Speaking of helmets, how about the Badgers helmets today, debuting the new red helmets with the new Motion W. We'll see plenty of those throughout the day. And on first down, the carry by Stephen Bush, and the ball's knocked away and taken away, and a turnover immediately on the first offensive play. The Badgers grab it at the 22.
We talked about the Badgers needing to have speed and space. Outstanding start by Wisconsin as Darius Hillary, the nickelback, comes in and puts his helmet right on the football to jar it loose. Couldn't ask for a better start for Wisconsin on first down. The defense forcing a turnover and getting the ball back to Joel Stavia in the offense.
Popped right into the hands of Desmond Southward. And a good start indeed for Wisconsin. The turnover and now the quick change as the offense comes onto the field. Joel Stavia. And the offense set to go. Trio of tight ends, Pedersen in motion. And on first down, White the carry. And White inside the 20, fighting for yardage down to the 17-yard line. Tackled by Marty Jones. Wisconsin, the starters at the top of the screen, scrolling across, led by James White, who has heard throughout his career, Derek, that he can't run between the tackles. Last week, he said, look, I can. 117 of his 143 yards came tackle to tackle. Second down for the Badgers. White not going tackle to tackle this time, getting to the outside and close to a Badger first down. Your Auto Owners Insurance starting defense for the Golden Eagles of Tennessee Tech, who allowed just 1 touchdown last week in their win over Cumberland. That defense at the top of the screen.
That defense, and I'm sure they know this. We're talking to Don Landholm, their defensive coordinator. They've got their hands full today going against one of the better offensive line historically in college football, or at least over the last 20 years. It's going to be extremely difficult for them to hold up the point of attack because they're so big and physical on the offensive front for Wisconsin.
Third down and 1 at the 13. White right up the middle. He's got the first down inside the 10. It'll be first and goal for the Wisconsin Badgers. Marty Jones again on the stop.
Yeah, how about that for between the tackles, Kevin? James White, important situation inside the red zone, goes right in between the tackles. And again, late in the season, those are situations where you're going to win and lose ball games. You get down into the red zone, you have to be able to convert on third and short when you get inside the 10-yard line to keep your drive alive.
They do that indeed, and now first and goal from the 8-yard line. Stabby to throw, looking for Strauss inside the 5 and down to the 4. Derek Strauss getting the start because Derek Watt is injured, and catching the ball out of the backfield is one thing coaches said he's done a nice job with. Yeah, they felt really comfortable putting him into the ball game, and I think Derek Strauss got a little bit tied up to the line of scrimmage. Right side of your screen, you can see he was trying to slide out into the flat. I think that disrupted the timing. Had he not had the contact at the line of scrimmage, Stabby might have been able to get the ball out of his hands quicker. He could have turned up the field. Tredarius Goff got a little piece of him. And it's second down and goal just inside the 5-yard line. Here's White trying to pick his way forward, and White down near the 3-yard line. It'll be 3rd and goal. James White, 143 yards, leading active FBS players with 33 touchdowns. He's the nation's leading active FBS rusher, over 2,700 career yards.
Keep an eye on Jacob Pedersen, tight end. He's in the wing to the right-hand side of the formation.
On 3rd down, Stabby looking for Strauss. Wide open, touchdown!
Wisconsin basically going with the same play that they dialed up a couple of snaps ago. This time, Derek Strauss does not get tied up at the line of scrimmage, and you can see how wide open he was when he gets out free. I mentioned Jacob Pedersen on the right-hand side of the formation. He was going left across the offense. I think that threw the defense, which left Strauss wide open in the flat.
Kyle French with the extra point. It is good. And after the turnover, Wisconsin able to cash in as Joel Stabby finds his fullback, Derek Strauss, for 6 and a 7-0 Wisconsin lead.
Football on BTN is presented by the United States Marine Corps, the few, the proud, the Marines. And brought to you by Case IH. Be ready with the proven leader. Visit caseih.com/efficient-power.
7-0 lead for Wisconsin. 11:53 remaining in this first quarter. Alongside Derek Rackley, I'm Kevin Kugler in Madison. And the all-time leading rusher in college football, Ron Dayne, on the field. The brand new College Football Hall of Famer with his former coach, Barry Alvarez, now the athletic director. We'll get a chance to talk with Ron Dayne a little bit later on. First question we're going to ask him is, Minnesota, was that your favorite opponent to play ever in your entire football career?
Kevin, where are you going with this? I
just randomly bring that up. Has nothing to do with you being up here. Chevrolet scoring drive, a 6-play, 22-yard drive off the turnover. But Wisconsin turned into points. And a 7-0 lead. Excellent start for the Badgers. The kickoff 3 yards deep. And Ladarius Van Leer will take the knee. Well, this is what set up the touchdown.
Yeah, first offensive drive for Tennessee Tech. We talked about tackling in space. Darius Hillary, the nickelback, comes in to jar the football loose. Desmond Southward, the senior, is opportunistic, ready for the football as soon as it pops out, and then the offense came on the field and did the rest.
And Strauss with the touchdown in his start today, replacing the injured Derek Watt. Tennessee Tech making their way onto the field, and their offensive starters are scrolling at the top of your screen. We've not seen much of this offense yet, just the one play and the fumble by Stephen Bush. Darian Stone back to work on offense. Van Leer the carry. Caught from behind by Connor O'Neill near the 26-yard line on our Auto Owners Insurance starting defense for the Wisconsin Badgers, a defense that has not allowed a touchdown in 7 straight quarters dating back to the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, Kevin, you mentioned Connor O'Neill getting the start. Derek Landish is out with an ankle injury. The good news is he hasn't started before, but the good news is he's played in 41 career games, so he's not green by any means as far as experience.
First pass of the day for Stone, and the pass bobbled on the sidelines. Looked like he dropped the ball. Chris Cates, the intended receiver, was juggling it as he got to the sideline. They're going to call it a catch.
They are motioning this as a catch. I wasn't quite sure that he ended up having possession. The officials are wanting to see the receiver catch the football and secure possession before he turns upfield. Would not be surprised if the replay booth takes another look at this.
Yeah, that one certainly hit the turf. Crowd unhappy with it. Now the buzz has come in. Our referee today is Sean Smith.
Previous play is under further review.
They are going to look at this one. Derek?
Again, The officials are looking for securing the football through the catch, and to me that means catching it with your hands, getting it to the tuck, and I think as he's coming to the tuck, the ball is never secured away. In my opinion, I think this ball is an incomplete pass. Of course, the replay official will make the final call. Very, very close as he tucks the football away. Darius Hillary, who seems to be right where the ball is the entire afternoon so far early in the game, again gets his left hand on the football and knocks it loose.
Yeah, Hillary's the guy who jarred that ball loose from Bush earlier and created the fumble. They have knocked this one out of the hands of Cates as they will check it out on the replay monitors. He did drop it. The question, of course, is, as you mentioned, did he secure it and then drop it? If he did, it goes out of bounds and it belongs to Tennessee Tech as a completed pass. That was the ruling on the field. Our replay official is Ken Baker, talking on the headset with Sean Smith. Both coaches looking on, hoping that it goes their way. Tennessee Tech has never won a game against an FBS foe. They are 0-28 all time against FBS schools, and Wisconsin doesn't lose a lot in non-conference games at home. It's a bad recipe for Tennessee Tech to pull the upset.
Well, I tell you what, if you're Tennessee Tech, though, and the players on this team, you're looking forward to this opportunity to play in front of a big crowd.
After further review, the pass was ruled incomplete. Therefore, it will be third down on the 26-yard line. Please reset the game clock to 11 minutes and 23 seconds.
So it is incomplete. And now third down for Tennessee Tech.
Devin, we talked at the top of the telecast about the third and long situations, and for the Golden Eagles, this is a situation you want to keep yourself out of, because this is where Dave Aranda and his creative 3-4 defense starts to get really creative, to use a lack of a better word. Starts moving that defensive front around. Looks like they're going to be fairly stationary here, but they'll see very irregular looks when you get to third and long situations.
And a timeout taken by Tennessee Tech. They want to talk things over.
30 seconds.
And we will step aside as well from Camp Randall Stadium. A big play coming up early in this game for Tennessee Tech, down 7. 7-0 Wisconsin with a lead, 11:23 remaining first quarter. Big 3rd and 9 early in this game for Tennessee Tech.
And here's that creative look by the Wisconsin defense. Just one true defensive lineman in the game. Number 51, Tyler Dipple, lined up over the nose. The rest of the guys are linebackers and defensive backs.
And the give up the middle and nothing doing for Zach Ziegler. He picks up a yard to the 27, Chris Borland on the stop, and that defense holds and the punt team will come on.
The only thing Wisconsin will need to guard against this afternoon when they get into those type of looks is the fact that Tennessee Tech wants to be a running football team, and when you only have one defensive lineman like Tyler Dipple, number 51, on the field, you leave yourself a little bit more susceptible to being gashed in the running game. But if they're stout up front, the linebackers fly to the football, they should be in good shape.
Doe back deep for Wisconsin. Zincini, one of the better punters in FCS football, ready to punt it away for Tennessee Tech. Flags are down as Zincini driving Doe back all the way to the 20-yard line. Doe trying to find some running room. He's electric when he gets going. Across the 30 and down to the 31-yard line. 53-yard punt and 11-yard return. We'll wait and see about the flag back at the line of scrimmage. Nice punt by Chad Zincini and a nifty little return from Doe.
Yeah, an excellent punt by Zincini.
Illegal formation, kicking team. Not enough men on the line of scrimmage. The 5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the run. First down, Wisconsin.
Good field position for the Badgers with a 7-0 lead. 10:27 remaining in the first. We'll get a look at the offense again when we return. If you can't find your game, go to btn.com/gamefinder right now to see where you can find your game. Obviously, the weather's still nice in Madison, Wisconsin. Students taking advantage of some sunshine and some great weather. to enjoy the afternoon in Madison. And they're enjoying it here in the non-conference. Badgers just don't lose here at home in the non-conference schedule.
Yeah, Kevin, not too many people come into Camp Randall and walk out with a victory. I'll take that even one step further. 56-6 at home since 2004. That's third best in the country, only behind Boise State and Oklahoma.
First down from the 36. Melvin Gordon in the backfield. Stabby with lots of time. To the sideline and incomplete. Looking for Jacob Pedersen. Coverage out there from Austin Talent, and it's second down.
Yeah, Jacob Pedersen's a guy that I think that Joel Stabby really needs to get involved a little bit more. And Gary Anderson mentioned that last week after their ball game in his post-game press conference about trying to find a couple more opportunities for the tight end position. Pedersen, one of the better ones in the conference, if not the entire country, just had a couple of catches last week for 15 yards.
Go the motion man on second down at the 36. Trying to find some running room for Gordon. And he's just shy of the 40-yard line. Stopped by Jordan Johnson after the pickup just shy of the 40. Melvin Gordon, James White, Corey Clement, all with 100-yard days last week. Second time in 3 games that Wisconsin had 3 backs over 100 yards.
There's not very many teams in the country that can have 3 backs over 100 yards in any game. Nonetheless, 3 times, or excuse me, twice in the last 3 games. Very impressive by Wisconsin.
False start. Offense, number 75. 5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
So back up 5 yards. Third down and 11 now. Back to the 35-yard line.
Again, these are one of those situations where you look in the direction of Jared Abbrederis. Very comfortable picking up first downs in third and long situations. One of the most sure-handed receivers on your team, and he runs excellent routes.
Talking with offensive coordinator Andy Ludwig yesterday, he said there just aren't enough superlatives to describe how important Jared Abbrederis is for us. Stabby in some trouble, and he's sacked. Back at the 26-yard line, Malcolm Mitchell, who had a sack last week for Tennessee Tech, throws Stabby to the turf, and it's fourth down.
Malcolm Mitchell, a transfer from Louisville, played 11 games over a couple of years for the Cardinals. Comes off the right-hand side of your screen. And see, he gets beat. The right guard, Zach Matthias, gets beat. Excellent pass rush by Malcolm Mitchell, getting Stabby on the ground, forcing the punt.
So fourth down and 19. They went backwards on the false start. Matthias also had the false start, then gets beat on the rush. Van Leer gonna let that one roll. That's not a bad recipe for Wisconsin. If there's one guy on the team that can hurt you, Van Leer in the punt return game might be one of them. 49-yard punt, no return. And Tennessee Tech will take over when we return, trailing the Badgers 7-0. To go, presented by Auto Owners Insurance. Watch every football game on your computer, tablet, or smartphone. BTN To Go is now available to all major subscribers who receive BTN through their cable, satellite, or participating video providers. Visit btntogo.com. Also available in the App Store and on Google Play. With Derek Rackley, I'm Kevin Kugler at Camp Randall Stadium in Madison. Midway through this first quarter, a 7-0 lead for the Wisconsin Badgers. Tennessee Tech with the football, and on first down looking for some running room, Cody Forbes, and Forbes lowering the shoulders to the 28-yard line. Borland and Southward combined on the stop, a pickup of 7 for the leading rusher a week ago for Tennessee Tech, Cody Forbes.
Talked about tackling in space. Watch number 36, left side of your screen, Ethan Armstrong, to try to come up and make this tackle in space. Yep, not so much. That's what Gary Anderson stresses. Going to have to be able to make those open field tackles.
Under pressure. Stone got rid of it, and very close to a first down on that sideline. Lots of pressure in the face of Darian Stone. Brendan Kelly providing the heat. Parker Teeter with the grab.
Encouraging for Stone, seeing the pressure from Borland coming right up the gut. He still steps into his throw, throws a very catchable football. Luckily, Brendan Kelly was right there to make the play, but he knew he was going to take some type of a hit, but he still stepped up and made an accurate throw.
Third down and a yard at the 30-yard line. Forbes trying to find running room. He will not. Connor O'Neal right there to make the stop. That's the second big play O'Neal's made in getting the start today.
getting a chance to see the whole next man up philosophy right in front of your face with Connor O'Neal coming into the ball game after the injury to Derek Landish. Knifes right through the middle of the offense to make the play in the backfield, and Wisconsin survived a little bit of a scare. They almost got caught trying to substitute, and Tennessee Tech snapped that football a little bit quicker. They would have been out of position.
Jared Abbrederis back deep for the Badgers. Doe last time back there. Now Abbrederis getting his chance. Abbrederis from the 24-yard line. Good kick coverage by Tennessee Tech. Nowhere for Jared Abbrederis to go. Jimmy Laughlin there after a 46-yard punt. Only a 1-yard return to the 25. And now Wisconsin will take the field again and try to do what they did last week, and that's run the ball.
Yeah, not too many teams in the country are as good running with the running backs as Wisconsin. Melvin Gordon takes this one right through the defense, and not too many people are going to catch him in the open field. 393 total yards rushing a week ago. James White, the senior, got into the action. Maybe a little bit more featured now in the offense that Monty Ball has left and is with the Denver Broncos. And Corey Clement, maybe the future again at the running back position, came in and had a really good game, especially in the fourth quarter when they were trying to wind down the clock.
Melvin Gordon, the single setback for the Badgers, just shy of the 25-yard line. Gordon to carry, and Gordon able to push forward to the 28-yard line. Marty Jones on the tackle, a pickup of 4 for Gordon.
I'd like to see Melvin Gordon stick with his read, stick with his offensive lineman. He had his center, Dallas Llewellyn, coming around the corner pulling. You see Allen, number 73, 73, going right through the hole. That's the situation where, as a running back, you just put your left hand right on the backside of your center. You just ride him all the way through the hole. Gordon decided to bounce it outside.
Second down and 5. Gordon again, breaking a tackle. Gordon down the sideline, and Gordon with great speed, trying to take it all the way. Melvin Gordon caught inside the 10. It'll be first and goal, Wisconsin. James Hughley saves the touchdown after Gordon got loose.
Got to give credit to Hughley with taking a proper pursuit angle. We said that there's not too many people that are going to catch Melvin Gordon once he gets into the open field. But Hughley, you'll see him coming from the right-hand side of your screen, takes a good pursuit angle, is able to at least get Melvin Gordon on to give his defense a chance to slow down Wisconsin.
65 yards for Melvin Gordon, and a first and goal at the 6-yard line. Stavi looking for the end zone. Open, touchdown, Abbrederis. Jared Abbrederis, 3 catches this year, 3 touchdowns.
You know, and Joel Stavi, I thought he was being a little greedy because Derek Strauss, his fullback, came wide open in the flat. I thought he should have got the football out of his hands, but guess what? Jared Abbrederis was wide open in the back corner of the end zone, so he had options. But an accurately thrown ball by Stavi, sometimes not easy to do when you see your wide receiver come flush open.
And the extra point is good. Jared Abbrederis finding the end zone once again. But the drive set up with the long run from Melvin Gordon, exploding for 65 yards. And Wisconsin takes a 2-touchdown lead. Now Gary Anderson's got to be pleased with the start so far. A 14-0 lead for his Badgers.
Yeah, let's go back and take a look at the touchdown. Watch Derek Strauss. He's going to come out into the flat. Fullback position. He's going to come out right about the 5-yard line. You see him wide open, but then look back in the S of the Wisconsin in the end zone. Jared Abbrederis is trying to set up the defensive back, what I call a little disco route. He goes in, sticks his foot in the ground, and comes back out towards the sidelines. Stavi had 2 options for a touchdown pass.
Well, Joel Stavi knows that he's got to keep everybody happy, Derek. He already gave his fullback a touchdown today, so why not give your star receiver a chance to get into the end zone?
Yeah, it's always a good idea to spread the wealth a little bit on offense. You got to keep these playmakers happy, Kevin.
And the kickoff by French. 5 yards deep. They'll keep it in the end zone and take the touchback to the 25-yard line. Let's check in with Dave Revson in a Chicago studio update.
Thank you, Kevin. Purdue just the one touchdown last week in its opener against Cincinnati. They got the first touchdown of the game against Indiana State in all of 15 seconds. They run the reverse on the kickoff, and Akeem Hunt takes it the distance. 7-0 Boilers over the Sycamore.
Well, Purdue's won 9 straight home openers dating back to 2004. Hoping to extend that streak today against Indiana State.
Hoping to change their fortunes from their opening week loss at Cincinnati, too. Really just did not come out to play in the second half of that ball game. It was close at halftime, but they really need to get off to a fast start to get in the win column.
Wisconsin off to a fast start here today. Darian Stone and the Tennessee Tech offense with work to do. Stone on first down. Good strong throw to the sideline, and the catch going out of bounds. Chris Cates in front of Darius Hillary picks up a first down for Tennessee Tech, their first down.
Yeah, good, nice job of throwing that football on time, because Cates was the only person open for Stone. Got the football out of his hands, delivered it on time, completed the pass on the sidelines.
First down carry, trying to find a running room is Bush, who fumbled his first carry of the day. And Bush nudging it across the 40 before Michael Caputo could make the stop. Caputo, a guy who in February, Derek, they didn't know if he'd be able to play again. He had to have surgery to fuse 2 vertebrae in his neck. He was out all spring, and there was a 25 to 50% chance that he might not ever be back on the field. Not only back, he's a starter.
Yeah, testament to him and his recovery process, making sure he stays in the training room and is devoted to getting back on the field.
Bush again, and Bush forcing the ball near the first down marker, just shy of the 47. Borland and Kelly there to combine on the stop. It's about a half-yard short of a first down.
Yeah, and it looked like Borland was using a little bit of his leadership after the play, started barking at the rest of the defense. At least that's what it looked like to me, trying to tell the guys, hey, we got to tighten up a little bit. There's too many open holes for the running backs coming through this defense.
Well, we've talked about this defense creating confusion. This would seem to be an optimum time to try to create some of that confusion.
Yeah, you would. You can't get a little over creative, because this is definitely a running down situation as well for Tennessee Tech, where their offensive coordinator, Stephen Brown, told us they like to run it 60% of the time. You think they'll keep it down on the ground and try to pick up the first.
Badgers stacked in the box. Stone trying to push his way forward. I'm not sure he got it. Maybe second effort gives him the first down, but he didn't get much more, and he did get the first, but not by a lot.
Yeah, and I think it was a good guess by Dave Aranda. You see all the defensive front is packed in tight. They were really anticipating some type of quarterback sneak or dive right up the middle of the defense. Sometimes as a D coordinator, you have to gamble what you think the offense is going to do. They had the right gamble. Unfortunately, it was a good spot by the officials to give the first down to Tennessee Tech.
What an impressive guy Dave Aranda is. Talking with him yesterday. Bright future here at Wisconsin. On first down, the carry up the middle for Zach Ziegler, and not a lot of running room. Gets 2 to the 49-yard line. As we check out the scores around the rest of the Big Ten, early lead for Eastern Michigan in State College over Penn State. Iowa and Purdue with a touchdown advantage. Too early to get worked up about a whole lot of those scores. We'll keep you abreast as the day goes along, and a terrific job getting in the backfield by Ethan Armstrong, knifing through to throw him for a 2-yard loss.
You know, the tough part about going against a 3-4 defense, especially at the college level, is you just don't see this a whole lot. So it's hard to practice. It's hard to get a good look from your scout team. And again, all the different change-ups that they can throw at you, especially from the linebacker position. You see Ethan Armstrong knifing through the offensive line, just waiting for the ball carriers who came through the hole.
Coaches were pleased with Armstrong last week, said he was their player of the game last week. The job he did in the opening win against UMass. 3rd and 10 from the 47-yard line. Stone under pressure. Flag is down as Stone throws it short, and it's dropped by Chris Cates, who would have been well short of the first down anyway. That flag, Derek, in the general direction of holding.
Holding, offense number 74. That penalty's declined. 4th down.
Wesley Sherrill, the right tackle, called for the hold.
That's a good rush by the Wisconsin defense. You see Wesley Sherrill just on the left side of your screen as Brendan Kelly was coming around the corner. Just didn't have proper technique, and he had to grab onto some jersey. Sometimes you just like to see your offensive tackles let go, especially when you have an athletic quarterback like Darian Stone. Just see if your quarterback will make somebody miss instead of picking up a big 10-yard penalty.
Doe back deep now for the Badgers inside the 10-yard line. Zincini On the punt for Tennessee Tech. Wobbly punt toward the sideline and out of bounds. Not a great punt at all for Chad Zincini, who was trying, it looked like, to finesse it into the corner, Derek, but that was anything but finesse.
Yeah, he's a really good punter, too. He was actually 4th in the nation at the FCS level last year. I think he was trying to get a little bit too creative, keeping that football away from Kenzel Doe, knowing how dangerous he was, trying to pin it up against the sidelines. Unfortunately, it went too far out of bounds, giving Wisconsin favorable field position.
Just a 26-yard punt, and the ball at the 27-yard line for the Badgers. 2:15 remaining in the first. And James White in at running back as Stabby will throw on first down, and Abradaris with a catch for the first down at the 39-yard line. Give him 12. Austin Talent there on the coverage, but Abradaris with the completion.
We'll see a concerted effort by the Wisconsin offense to try to get passing game going early on in the ball game, and I like the fact that Stabby goes to his reliable receiver in Jared Abradaris, just trying to find the hole in that zone between the defense. Stabby allowed the play to develop, and he hit him for a first down.
You surprised we've seen them go to the air as much as we have in this first quarter?
Maybe a little bit. Like I said, I really think that they wanted to try to get a passing game established early after struggling in the first half. But you think at some point they will go to that physical offensive
Delay
line.
game, offense, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
A penalty that Gary Anderson's not going to be pleased with there, the delay of game.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't have my eye on the play clock, but that seemed like it sure expired pretty quickly. I didn't think that Wisconsin's process as far as in the huddle was slow by any means, but they must have went ahead and started that play clock immediately after the catch from Abradaris.
Coach Anderson's wondering where the home field advantage is here. Second penalty for the Badgers today. 3 receivers to the bottom of your screen, with James White the single setback. And the toss to Abradaris, and he's planted by Austin Talent. Tremendous open field tackle by Talent, who looked like he was waiting for Abradaris.
Talent really knew that play was coming, and there was a block missed at the line of scrimmage. Anytime you run these little bubble screens, those 2 wide receivers out front cannot miss. And number 9, Jordan Frederick, he missed on Austin Talent. You can't miss on number 14. He's been one of the best tacklers for Tennessee Tech over the last couple of years. 191 career tackles for Talent.
Everybody in this stadium caught their breath a little bit until Abradaris hopped back up, too. It's one guy you don't want to see have anything wrong with him if you're a Badger fan. Nice run on second down by James White. Donnell with the tackle for Tennessee Tech, but it's going to leave the Badgers 3rd and long.
Keep an eye on 79. Ryan Groy, the left guard, had an outstanding game last week. He's the one that you'll generally see pulling around the corner quite a bit. I like the way he gets his shoulders squared up to the line of scrimmage, pick out who the first guy is he's going to block, and then the patience getting up through the hole.
Yeah, nice patience by White, waiting for Groy to clear the road. 8 runs, 6 passes in this first quarter, and 3rd and 11. This will be another throw for Stabby. Open receiver inside the 40. Pedersen breaking a tackle and down near the 35. Marty Jones may have saved a touchdown as he grabbed Pedersen around the ankles after a 27-yard gain.
Again, encouraging for Wisconsin, getting Jacob Pedersen involved in the passing game early. Excellent protection by the offensive line. A little bit of pressure coming late.
That play marks the end of the quarter.
A little bit of a back shoulder throw by Joel Stabby for the completion to Pedersen.
And the first quarter has come to a close in Madison, Wisconsin. The Badgers off to the early lead after the turnover. Took advantage for 7. Then a long run on a day where Ron Dane was honored. Set him up for touchdown number 2. 14-0 after 1.
How about this formation, Kevin, for that vaunted Wisconsin rushing attack? 4 wide receiver look with Jacob Pedersen, the tight end, lined up on the left-hand side of the offense in the slot. Yeah, not so much what Wisconsin fans are used to seeing. Maybe a little bit of a change, but Stabby gets good protection from the offensive line. You can see Pedersen just about by that red W at midfield, comes wide open. Little back shoulder throw, as I mentioned, for a big passing play to give Wisconsin favorable field position.
I would say so, with the 35 of Tennessee Tech already leading 14-0. 4 plays, 38 yards on this drive alone. Fumbled snap. Stabby tries to hand it off. It's covered up by James White. That is a play that is not going to go on the end of season highlight reel. dropped by 2 different players. Wisconsin fortunate to get it back.
Yeah, unfortunately, this happened a couple of times in their ball game last week, so something they'll have to continue to work on, that center quarterback exchange, and coaches just cannot stand to see this happen. This is one of those things that is 100% inexcusable on offense. It doesn't matter if Dallas Llewellyn is fairly new to the center position because Dan Bolt's injury hadn't taken a whole lot of snaps. They got to get it figured out quickly because that could hurt them once they get into conference season.
On second down after the loss, the carry by James White down to the 35-yard line. Picks up a couple back to the original line of scrimmage, but it's going to leave now 3rd down and 10 for the Badgers.
Yeah, just simple plays like the fumbled snap, Kevin, end up kind of halting some momentum, especially after the big pass play we just showed you to Pedersen. The very next play, you come back and put a football on the turf from the center quarterback exchange. Now it makes it a much more difficult conversion here for Stabby on a 3rd and long.
Very good in that first quarter, 3 for 4 on 3rd downs. 3rd and 10. Stabby. And it's intercepted at the 30-yard line and out of bounds near the 40-yard line as Austin Talent got hit hard, but the turnover by Stabby into the arms of Talent gives it back to the Golden Eagles.
You know, watching tape on Joel Stabby, one of the things I would have to be a little critical on him is sometimes he ends up staring his receivers down. Looks right in the direction of Jared Abradaris, and Austin Talent knows that on 3rd and long, Stabby's going to go in the direction of number 4. He reads the quarterback's eyes, steps in front, and makes a big play for this defense. So far, in the last couple of drives, we've seen Talent make the big play on the bubble screen outside, and then he comes up with the interception to give the ball back to the offense.
What a tackle, though, at the end of that play by James White, jarring the ball out of the hands of Talent. But he's out of bounds, and Tennessee Tech with the football at the 39-yard line. On 1st down, nowhere to go for Radir Anur. In fact, he'll lose yardage back near the 37. To bring up 2nd down, Borland in there on the stop again for Wisconsin.
Yeah, we've seen these linebackers extremely active early on in the ball game. It was Ethan Armstrong a couple times. This time, Chris Borland knifing through to make a tackle in the backfield. First
4 possessions, you see what that Wisconsin defense has been able to do. Now 8 straight shutout quarters. Stone has tipped at the line and incomplete. Jumping up to get a hand on it. Big Ethan Hemer at 6'6" got his fingers on that one. Let's check in again with Dave Revson in our Chicago studios.
Well, Kevin, Eastern Michigan got on the board first at Penn State on a defensive touchdown, but the Nittany Lions roll right back. Zach Swinak into the end zone. It's a 7-7 game.
Penn State 11 straight games with 23 or more points, the longest streak in the FBS. And Nittany Lions off to a decent start, and now flags fly. Too many men in the huddle for Tennessee Tech.
Legal substitution, offense, 12 men on the field, 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
You mentioned penalties that coaches can't stand. Watson Brown, not a fan of that one.
Yeah, especially on 3rd down when they're trying to convert, get this ball past the midfield. You'll see it right at the top of your screen. It's trying to run off the field. There's way too many guys in black and white shirts to miss that one.
So back it up to the 32 and a 3rd and 17 now. Not the position Tennessee Tech wants to be in offensively. Stone under pressure. The catch by Ziegler, but he's well short. Down at the 36 in the arms of Chris Borland. Ethan Armstrong providing the heat on Darian Stone.
Somewhat of a predictable call on 3rd and long, trying to set up a screen. And again, I think you see Ethan Armstrong comes through the middle, but watch Borland, left side of your screen, recognizes the screen, and he runs sideline to sideline to get Ziegler down on the ground. That's what you get from a senior linebacker, knowing the situation, putting his foot in the ground, redirecting, and getting back to the ball carrier.
Every year you see Borland and you think, how can he get better? And every year he shows you how he can get better. What a superstar linebacker. Good punt this time by Zincini. It'll bounce at the 2 into the end zone. That's the home field roll the Badgers were looking for.
That was a little bit of that Titleist Pro V1 that Zincini put on that punt. Just bombed it. Thing stops at the 1-yard line and bounces into the end zone.
Badgers will take it. The touchback gives them the ball back with a 2-touchdown lead. This October, BTN's award-winning original series is back. It's the show with an unprecedented look inside the Big Ten season. The Journey, Big Ten Football 2013, presented by Best Buy, premieres October 9th on BTN. The Carillion Tower, social sciences building on the campus of the University of Wisconsin. You know, there are just some places, Derek, that when you walk around a campus on game day, just feel like college football. Exactly. Madison, Wisconsin is one of those places.
Yeah, exactly. About 7:30, 7:45 this morning, I'm on my way to the stadium to get a coffee. You already see the students with their red and white suspenders walking around campus. Remember, school just started this week, so some of them may have had a late night last night. I'm just saying.
Of studying.
Exactly.
Late night of studying.
Exactly. Getting off the right foot.
Gordon up the middle. And down to the 26-yard line. Good gain on first down of 6 yards. Bill Dillard with the tackle for Tennessee Tech. This Wisconsin squad, new offensive coordinator Andy Ludwig. He's been around San Diego State, Cal, Utah, Oregon, Fresno State. He's had the offensive coordinator job in all those places. Got a lot of talent to work with in his first year at Wisconsin, starting with that trio of terrific backs. Not to mention a wide receiver is one of the best in college football. Here's Gordon. Bouncing off to the outside. A first down and out of bounds at the 31. Good balance by Melvin Gordon, staying upright after initial contact. Patrick Pruitt chasing him out at the 31.
A little creative look, Kevin. A 13 personnel, which is one back, 3 tight ends in the ball game. Again, Derek Watt not playing, so they're going to try to get a little creative on offense. They end up going towards the 2 tight end side of the formation, loaded up. Melvin Gordon's able to pick up the first down.
Well, they feel very good about their tight end trio, don't they?
Yeah, they've always had great tight ends at Wisconsin. They've recruited extremely well, offensive line, running back, and tight ends.
101 yards on the ground already for Wisconsin. Now through the air, and Doe trying to fight forward. He's got the first down just across the 41. Coaches told us yesterday we'd see the ball in his hands in a variety of ways.
Yeah, he's a guy that can be extremely dangerous for any opposing defense. And I like the fact that it didn't work for him the first time when they ran that quick bubble screen to the outside. This time, Jared Aberderis was just waiting for Cody Pruitt to come by, delivers an excellent block, which you just got to give Kenzel Doe a little bit of room to get into the open field, and he's got enough shake to make somebody miss.
White the single setback on first down. Stabby off the play fake. Nobody open. Stabby fighting forward. Andrew Stabby with a good scramble to the 48-yard line. There's 6 yards on the scramble. Blake Adams with the tackle.
Showing a little bit of the elusiveness is Joel Stabby, and trying to take a big one downfield. Just had Jordan Frederick and Jared Aberderis going deep. I thought Jordan Frederick was a little late on his route. You could see that Joel Stabby was trying to find one of his receivers down the field, but the clock, the internal clock for a quarterback went off. He had to just tuck that football down and get as much as he could.
Second down and 3. Gordon, first down into Tennessee Tech territory at the 45-yard line. Moved the chains again on the ground. Donnell on the tackle. And Ryan Groy, that big offensive line, leading the way.
Yeah, you can see Tennessee Tech actually rolled a new group of defenders into the ball game, and their defensive coordinator, Don Landholm, who's been in the Big Ten. He was at Purdue for the last few years. He said that they're going to play a lot of players to try to keep them fresh. Groy, 79, a nice job of being able to move the line of scrimmage from the left side of the line of scrimmage.
First down, Stabby to the air, the completion, and another first down. Jordan Frederick with the grab down to the 30-yard line. James Hughley on the stop. 15-yard pickup from Stabby to Frederick.
Looks like Stabby's starting to settle down again after throwing the interception on the previous drive. He's made a couple of nice throws, and credit Jordan Frederick for running a really good route towards the sidelines. Again, we're seeing first down, second down, and then they're converting, so not even getting to late in the downs, third down situation, picking up things early on in the series.
First down and 10. Gordon to carry. And Gordon stood up at the 26-yard line. 4-yard gain for Melvin Gordon. as the Badgers try to add to that 14-0 lead midway through this second quarter. Penn State now on top of Eastern Michigan, and Purdue with a 10-0 lead.
Tennessee Tech player, injured Tennessee Tech player.
Tennessee Tech with an injury right now. Slow to get up is Malcolm Mitchell, who had the sack earlier today. Watson Brown will look on as they tend to him, and a timeout on the field. 8:23 remaining in the first half. Wisconsin with a 14-0 lead as they head Mitchell to the sidelines. Will return on BTN. Stay tuned at the half for the Buffalo Wild Wings halftime report. We'll have highlights of the BTN quadruple header. The Illini with a fast start, and the Spartans are delayed again. And my hope is that somehow Lisa Byington is in that rainstorm once more at Michigan State. Could that be possible? I know you were a part of that a week ago.
56-minute weather delay last week.
Now, this is really cool. Gary Anderson has started this tradition at Wisconsin this year. They're going to sign this helmet every week, and it stays on the sidelines throughout the course of the season as Doe gets the carry and is immediately in trouble. Doe going the wrong direction, and a big loss on the play. Kenzel Doe all the way back to the 43-yard line. That's a loss of 17 yards. Corey McDonald was the first guy to break through and really ruin this play for Wisconsin.
Yeah, this is game planning. This is contained. 19, Corey Pruitt, right-hand side of your screen, saw this play coming and just did a good job of getting outside, keeping the proper leverage on Kenzel Doe. Didn't make the tackle, but because he made Doe chop his feet, that allowed time for the rest of the defense to rally back around and get him down on the ground.
Third down and 24 back at the 42-yard line. Stabby, nobody open. And Stabby hit pretty hard as he tries to scramble by Blake Adams down to the 37-yard line, a 5-yard gain. And just to put a capper on that new tradition started by Gary Anderson, the players come over and they initial the helmet, and then they draw the line as to who they're playing for today. He wants to remind them that it's more than just them on the field today. They're taking somebody with them, and they're going to bring this helmet with them all season long. They're going to sign that helmet, and I can't imagine what it's going to look like at the end of the year.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Badgers fan, that white helmet's probably going to be mostly black by the time the season ends, but I think it's a great tradition that Anderson is starting, something new that the coaching staff is bringing.
And a great punt bouncing inside the 5-yard line, tipped into the hands of Chris Borland, who backs out of bounds, but they're going to call it a touchback. It goes into the end zone. Desmond Southward had the tip. Chris Borland trying to save it as he backed out of bounds, but it's a touchback. As we look at the punt one more time, Southward in the end zone, and the ball and Southward and all to the 20-yard line when we return.
I want to show you something on that last punt. Desmond Southward is on the 15-yard line, left-hand side of the field. What he should have done is turned around, and at the 4-yard line, he should have became the punt returner and caught the football right there. He got a little bit too greedy. He backed up to the goal line, and right there, his feet are on the end zone line when he jumps up to try to knock it out of the end zone. That's the reason there was a touchback. I've always been taught that at some point, turn around, be the punt returner, and just catch the football and take it on the 4-yard line.
Instead, with the touchback, Tennessee Tech gets it at the 20-yard line where it's first down and 10. Darian Stone looking deep down the far sideline, and it's incomplete. Intended out there for Cody Matthews. Darius Hillary seemingly around every pass today, running stride for stride.
Darius Hillary's been impressive early on in the ball game, and you can see him. Just a little bit of contact going on between the right arm of Hillary and the left arm of Cody Matthews, and just that little bit of contact, Kevin, was enough to slow down Matthews, but not draw a flag from the officials.
So athletic. It was in very good position there on the option pitch. Nowhere to go. Thrown for a loss on the play. There's Michael Caputo. Not fooled at all by the option as Stephen Bush gets thrown for a loss back to the 17.
Yeah, you can tell Wisconsin worked on this during the week. I was on the field in pregame. A little bit of juggling going on by Stephen Bush, but Tennessee Tech was working on these option pitches on the field before the game. Caputo almost looked like he was in the Tennessee Tech huddle. He knew the play was coming. He shot through and made the tackle in the open field.
Well, one thing Gary Anderson was a little concerned about with this Tennessee Tech squad is that they will run almost everything out of this fast-paced offense that they like to run. Now, their pace Doesn't seem as high today as they'd normally run it. 3rd down and 13. Stone on a designed quarterback keep with a flag down out to the 21. He picks up 4. Connor O'Neal again with the tackle, and the laundry down at the 15-yard line.
Holding, offense, number 70. Penalties decline, 4th down.
Jabrin Lingay, the right guard, called for the hold, and the Wisconsin defense shutting down Tennessee Tech once again. Time of possession, 7:22 for Tennessee Tech. They just have not been able to move the chains in this game.
Again, the confusion, and I'll take it a step further. It's not just the confusion being thrown out by the Wisconsin defense, but they've just been doing a better job of beating the offensive line for Tennessee Tech. They've been always in the backfield, making a living so far in the first half, being on the other side of the line of scrimmage.
Hang time. Doe at the 28-yard line. Doe across the 40. And Doe at the 47-yard line with a very nice return sets up Wisconsin with excellent field position. The 48-yard punt, 11 yards on the return from Kenzel Doe, and the Badgers near midfield. Tonight at 6 Eastern, high-flying offenses take the field when Northwestern hosts Syracuse. Nebraska takes on Southern Miss, or you'll see Indiana and Navy. Then at 8 exclusively on BTN To Go, it's Minnesota on the road at New Mexico State. Tonight on BTN and BTN To Go, go to btn.com/gamefinder to see the game available in your region. From the 48-yard line, 1st down and 10. Pedersen the motion man. And the give to James White. And James White breaking tackles. Still on his feet. And James White with a tough run picks up 8 really hard yards for Wisconsin.
Kevin, this is body control at its finest. James White looks like he's going to be stuffed at the line of scrimmage. Spins out, puts a hand on the ground, avoids a tackle by Corey Weber. And at the last second, Demario Donnell tries to get him down. It's just excellent body control. Somebody lost a shoe for the Wisconsin offense and throws it towards the sidelines.
Somebody's shoeless out there, and it's the right side of the line. Rob Havenstein does not have a right shoe on. They'll go away from the shoeless lineman, and the 1st down picked up by James White to the 37-yard line. There's Havenstein, 6'8", 327 pounds, and only 1 shoe.
I guess when you're as big as he is, you don't need to have good footing. You just use your socks and dig those into the ground. It's so interesting to see an offensive lineman just throw his shoe off to the sidelines, but Havenstein does come out of the ball game, and now he's screaming for somebody on the sidelines, said, get my shoe and get it back on my foot so I can get back in the ball game.
It's got to be the only size 23 shoe on that sideline. 1st down and 10 at the 37-yard line. Up the middle for Gordon. Gordon bouncing to the outside. Melvin Gordon going all the way for the touchdown.
Well, I tell you, this young man is fun to watch when he gets in the open field. Again, I love the patience that he shows in the run game. But then watch the long strider. That's what is so impressive to me. At 6'1", almost runs a little bit like Usain Bolt. The long legs. Already over 130 yards so far in the ballgame.
On just 8 carries for Melvin Gordon, closing in on 300 yards for the season, and we still have a half of football to go. The extra point makes it 21-0, and Melvin Gordon and the Badgers starting to pull away from Tennessee Tech thanks to Melvin Gordon.
It's so easy to see why Wisconsin was so excited about him last year and how he really came onto the scene, especially in the Big Ten Championship last year. Just looks like he's been playing college football for 3 or 4 years. So comfortable with the football in his hands. Excellent vision. Again, as well as James White, has great body control. And he's just highlight after highlight waiting to happen.
3rd play already today of 20 yards or more for this Wisconsin offense. Last week they had 4 scoring plays of over 50 yards. It was only the 4th time in the last 10 years that an FBS school has had that kind of big play capability. 4 plays that scored that went for over 50 yards. This is a big play offense. People think of Wisconsin as a grinded out 3 yards on a cloud of dust team. Far from it. This is as big play and offense as you'll see in college football.
Yeah, that's a great point, Kevin. I think if you look deep at the numbers, you would find Wisconsin and Oregon right next to each other as far as the most explosive teams in the country when it comes to running game. They both do it in a little bit different styles. Wisconsin is much bigger offensive linemen. They like to pound, and then that's where the big plays come, where Oregon's got much smaller, shiftier backs that just end up killing you when they get into space.
Van Leer, small and shifty, trying to find some room to return, and he's buried near the 20-yard line. Wisconsin's kick coverage strong there as Tennessee Tech will start at the 20-yard line. Well, coming into today, big plays. We're talking about the big play capability, 40-plus yards since last season. Look at this. Baylor, Georgia, then there's Wisconsin from a big play standpoint. You cannot think of Wisconsin as this stoic, grinded out kind of offense. They are that to a certain degree, but they're also very capable of matching anybody play for play.
And I think from a national perspective, Kevin, that's when most people would say that this is a 3 yards in a cloud of dust type offense. But if you watch Wisconsin long enough, and especially with the running backs they've had in the past few years, you'll see plenty of 20, 30, 40, 50-plus yard runs.
Not to mention that they have a defense that pitches shutouts, as they're doing here today, and a good catch made. Sojourn Shelton on the tackle at the 34-yard line, but Eric Ballou able to convert for the first down. 14-yard pickup for Ballou and the Golden Eagles.
Tennessee Tech trying to speed up the tempo a little bit. We were talking to their head coach, Watson Brown. He said, in order for us to have success, we're actually going to have to slow down what we do against Wisconsin, but maybe towards the end of the half, realizing they need to do their best to get the ball in the end zone.
Bush trying to get positive yardage. Did a pretty good job to get a couple of yards on a play that looked, Derek, like it was going to go nowhere. Gets to the 37.
Yeah, they'll have to be very careful running sideline to sideline or east to west when in the running game. I just think there's too much speed at the Wisconsin defense, especially at the linebacker position with guys like Armstrong and Borland. Those guys have too much experience, too athletic going sideline to sideline.
Well, we saw some up and down performances around the country defensively in week 1. We certainly didn't from this Wisconsin defense, and they appear to have picked up right where they left off last week. Second down, here's Stone, and Stone upended, trying to go over Darius Hillary, and he would have none of that. Dropped him at the 38.
Big Ten fans got really used to seeing Le'Veon Bell do this last year. He made a living of hopping over defenders. The only bad thing is if you hop over a defender that knows that you're going to do it, Darius Hillary will grab you by your knees, and it could end up looking really bad. I like the fact that Stone's trying to make a big play. You got to be really careful when you leave your feet.
Golden Eagles 1 for 6 on third down, a 3rd and 6. Stone looking for the sideline, and the pass incomplete. Looked like Cody Matthews didn't necessarily see that ball. Darius Hillary out there on the coverage, but it's 4th down.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure Matthews and Stone were on the same page as far as timing. Now, Stone, to his credit, was trying to get the football out of his hands. He's been under duress in the passing game the entire first half. But the ball is right there. Cody Matthews just doesn't see it when he comes out of his break, and he needs to have his hands ready to catch the football.
Borland with a little nudge to Darian Stone afterwards, just to remind him that he's still out there, as if Darian Stone could forget during this first half. Borland's been everywhere. Zincini, who's been very busy today after only 1 punt a week ago, punting to Kenzel Doe, who fields at the 9-yard line. Doe across the 15, a wall set up with a flag down. Doe to the 40, high step into midfield. Doe to the 40, and nudged out of bounds along the sideline inside the 30. But the flag down back at the 13-yard line. Zincini able to save what could have been a touchdown. The punter with the push out near the 25, but we'll wait and see about the flag. The punter limping off a little bit. Zincini hobbling to the sideline after making the tackle. Our referee today is Sean Smith. Here's the call.
During the return, and wiggle block in the back. First down.
No, the mic cutting out on Sean Smith. We believe it was on Southward.
Watch the left-hand side of your screen. No, it was on the top of the screen. It was Desmond Southward towards the top of your screen. I thought they were going to get Reggie Love, number 16, with a holding, but they got Desmond Southward earlier on in the return with a block in the back.
Well, one of the things that Gary Anderson was very concerned about this week was special teams. They got a great return there negated by the penalty, but they did live special teams during the week in practice, and he told us yesterday that we have to be better or it will cost us a game. He was very adamant about that. It was as fiery as he was in the conversation that we had with him yesterday. He is absolutely adamant that they get better in special teams and in a hurry.
And Kevin, that was the question I asked him during pregame. As I said, what was the one thing you're looking for the most improvement? And without hesitation, he said special teams.
Stabby to throw on first down. Open at the 20-yard line is Pedersen. He's been very involved today in the passing game, Derek. And Pedersen out to the 28-yard line. A pickup of 22 before James Hughley could make the stop.
Well, two reasons this is good. Number one, because when you get Pedersen involved in the offense, generally good things are going to happen. Left-hand side of your screen, he comes out on a corner route. The second thing is now, once this is on tape, everybody has to know that Jacob Pedersen is back and he can take advantage.
Jordan Frederick tucking out of bounds shy of the 35-yard line. 7 yards before Denario Donnell could chase him out. Clock will stop with 1:28 to go in this first half, and Wisconsin getting the chance to run a little 2-minute offense here.
And when I mentioned Jacob Pedersen is back, I'm just saying he's back on the scene. He's been around for a while, one of the best tight ends in the conference, and as I mentioned, in the country as well. But as soon as people start seeing a lot of footballs going his direction, him catching, making plays, they're going to have to start scheming the defense around slowing him down.
Stabby with lots of time to throw and finds that man again, Jacob Pedersen, with the diving grab for the first down at the 41. They'll hustle to the line. Clock will start once the chains are set. It's rolling with 1:20 to go in this first half. Stabby, quick toss to the sideline, and Abradaris able to duck out of bounds at the 47. 6-yard pickup. Donnell with the push out, 1:14 to go in the half.
You know, a lot of people would say with a 21-point lead here in the second quarter, why is Wisconsin going 2-minute offense? And it's very simple to me, is you've got to get actual game work of this situation, because at some point in the season, maybe not in this game, it could be next week, it could be in Big Ten season, they're going to have to win a football game in the 2-minute drill, and they need to be experienced.
Second down and 3. Stabby settles short for White, gets the first down to the 44-yard line. You can watch Stabby going through his checks there and settling on the open man, James White.
Yeah, that's the experience you're starting to see in him, settling down a little bit, moving through his progression and getting through it quickly, not locking in one receiver and staring him down.
At the 44. Stabby, Abradaris, and out of bounds. A 4-yard gain to the 40-yard line. Donnell with the tackle as we look back a play to Stabby checking through.
Watch Stabby's eyes as he looks a little bit towards the defensive right, realizes he can't go there, comes back down to his check down, and finds James White. That's excellent execution by your quarterback, trying to look downfield to see if you got a big play. If not, bring it back to your running back, and a lot of times they'll make big plays in the open field.
The 40-yard line, second down and 6. Screen pass set up for White. Blockers in front. White out of bounds at the 26-yard line. A pickup of 14 for James White, stopping the clock with 44 seconds to go in the first half.
I'll give Andy Ludwig some credit. He's really in a zone with this play calling. Hadn't seen really any screens all ball game. And guess who's out front leading for the running backs?
No.
Ryan Groy.
Wisconsin. Who's first?
Timeout taken by the Badgers. 44 seconds to go in this first half. And we've seen Ryan Groy really flash not only today, but last week in the win over UMass.
Yeah, when I was watching tape on the game last week, getting ready for this week, he's the guy that stuck out to me the most. Left guard, number 79. Watch him pull around the corner and just get an excellent kick-out block, and you'll get a chance to see what the running back sees. Again, the patience by Melvin Gordon after Groy gets the kick-out block, and then again, coming the opposite direction, he's going to go towards the left-hand side of your screen. This time, come around the corner and get a seal block. Again, it's just waiting for the blocks to happen, and Melvin Gordon, again, sees the block by Ryan Groy, and you know the result. Melvin Gordon ends up going all the way down for a touchdown. Ryan Groy, in my opinion, is one of the more athletic big men that we've seen at Wisconsin. 6'5", 320 pounds, but he's got excellent feet.
He and the rest of that offense back to work. 1st and 10 at the 26-yard line of Tennessee Tech, trying to add to a 3-touchdown lead before halftime. Here's Doe. Kenzel Doe with Aberderis blocking out front and out of bounds at the 17, a pickup of 9. Marty Jones on the tackle. And Gary Anderson was talking this week about his wide receivers blocking. He said during the game last week, officials came over to him on the sidelines and said, I just got to credit your guys. Your wide receivers are great physical blockers. He was really impressed by that, and so are the officials.
Well, I tell you what, Chris Beatty's the wide receivers coach. That's probably the best compliment that he could receive. Yes, you want to see your wide receivers go out and make big-time plays in the pass game, but when they're blocking downfield, that's where the explosive plays come from.
Here's Gordon. Fights forward for the first down. That balance again to the 10-yard line. Malcolm Mitchell with the tackle, and then Malcolm Mitchell losing his helmet. And Mitchell's going to have to leave for a play, but there's an injured player down, and it's Kenzel Doe for Wisconsin. He hobbled off earlier. Looked like he was okay, but now slowed up again by an injury.
30 seconds.
Wisconsin with the timeout, their second. And Kenzel Doe back down onto the turf.
I never want to see a player go down, and I'm wondering how much is fatigue happening. Long drive, plays are coming off quickly in a 2-minute situation. I think both teams are getting a little winded. Here's Kenzel Doe again talking about blocking downfield. You can see right away, it looks like he might have got stepped on or put his foot in the turf the wrong way and came out of the pile limping a little bit.
He was calling immediately for it. Doe's right there, bumped into by Jay Rudwall. But it looked like he had pulled up right before that bump.
Yeah, a lot of times when you get a player getting close to the scrum or where all the contact is going on, some really bad things can happen. You see people falling on the back of legs. As you mentioned, though, Kevin, he got his feet and legs out of there in time before anything drastic happened. Looks like he might just need to come off and shake this one off.
Hopefully just a cramp. It is exceptionally, for Madison especially, warm and humid today. It's a muggy day for Madison, Wisconsin.
And again, as I mentioned, this 2-minute offense, I think, is starting to gas both teams a little bit. That's when it comes late in the drive after players have been on the field for 6, 7, or 8 snaps.
1st and goal from the 10-yard line. Stavi to the air. There's his fullback, Strauss, and Strauss, who's already got 1 touchdown today. They're going to keep the clock rolling at the 6, and Wisconsin's going to have to use its final timeout with 23 seconds to go in the half.
Wisconsin, team's third, final timeout, 30 seconds.
Been a familiar play from Wisconsin so far in the ball game is trying to get their fullback, Derek Strauss, into the flat. And again, using a wide receiver like Jared Aberderis, he comes inside a little bit. Watch from the left-hand side of your screen. Aberderis is going to come out. He's going to just try to get a little bit of a pick. That's what defenders will call it. Offensive players just call it a rub, to try to open up the hole for Strauss coming out into the flat.
Which one is right, the offensive player or the defensive player? Speaking to someone who played offense, exactly, I will ask you, it's just a rub.
It's always a rub. The defensive players will start getting really mad. Defensive coordinators, that's a pick, that's a flag. No, it was just a friendly rub route.
Just a little nudge. Hi, how are you? Look at the drive. Stavi, 9 for 9 for 81 yards. And managing this offense, it's something Gary Anderson told us yesterday. That's what he wants to see Stavi do, and he is.
Well, and again, I think it's short-term memory. That's what's impressive to me. Again, through the interception in the first quarter, and has been able to shake that off. And you saw the numbers. Extremely effective, especially in an important situation. 2-minute drill driving down the field.
11th play of the drive right here. 2nd and goal from the 6-yard line for Wisconsin. Stavi, lots of time for the end zone touchdown. Brian Wozniak adds to the Badger lead.
Called this route, a dart concept. 85, Wozniak's at the point of the bunch, and all he's trying to do is get 2 yards into the end zone, which if he needs to come back to the football, if he comes back a yard, he's still crossed the goal line. He's just trying to find an open hole in the zone, get 2 yards deep, come back to the football. You're still going to be in the end zone for a touchdown.
It's week 2, but that 2-minute drill looked like a team that's run it a lot. Talk about your efficient 2-minute drills. Wisconsin to perfection, marching down the field, putting 7 on the board, and now a 28-0 lead, 19 seconds before the half. Joel Stavey and company with a tremendous effort, and Brian Wozniak with his first career touchdown. Wozniak, the senior from Loveland, Ohio, never had caught a touchdown pass until right there. Congratulations to Brian Wozniak. What a moment for him. No wonder he's so fired up.
And who says that Wisconsin can't beat you in the passing game? That definitely didn't show on this last drive. Stavey doing an excellent job of just really coordinating, managing the offense. You see him directing traffic, keeping everybody on the same page. Wozniak does the rest by finding the open hole in the zone to get in for 7 points.
You may be wondering all of that congratulations and excitement. It is because he's never caught a touchdown pass before. For Brian Wozniak, a pretty big moment right there to get into the end zone for the first time in his Badger career. Everybody's fired up about it. 28-0. Wisconsin off to the 11-play, 94-yard drive in 90 seconds. I'd say that's a pretty efficient 2-minute drill. Kickoff. 4 yards deep. Van Leer's going to bring it out. Van Leer running into some terrific coverage. Can't get it back to the 20-yard line. Van Leer with T.J. Reynard right there to bring him down, and Renard would not allow him to advance. And another good sign in special teams. The kick coverage has been very solid.
And that's where they were a little soft last week against UMass. Coach Anderson was telling us that they didn't really get beat in kickoff return for the opposing team, but he said that there was a couple of times where there was one player in the hole that had to make the tackle. And fortunately for Wisconsin, they did make the tackle. But you get an elusive returner that breaks the tackle, and they're going to take that one back for a touchdown, and that will change the complexion of a ball game.
Wisconsin dominant in the first half of action here at Camp Randall Stadium. No points allowed last week. No points allowed in the first half this week. Not a bad half at all.
Now, defense, both sides of the football are playing really well, and that's the biggest thing that you're concerned about coming off of a big-time win a week ago that Wisconsin had over UMass is how will the players fare, again, when they're on paper should dominate the opponent. Once again, they're dominating.
Wisconsin with a 28-0 lead at halftime. The Badgers taking advantage of an early turnover to get on the board. Some swarming defense, and Gary Anderson's second game as head coach has the Badgers in control, 28-0 at home at the half.
Yeah, that just happened. Yes, it did. No!
I need more.
Yes, 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 yes! Yes! We did it! Yes, we did it! Yeah, we did it! See you, bud. Later.
Honey, who was that?
Who, that guy? I don't know.
Get caught up in the excitement. Buffalo Wild Wings. More wings, more sports.
Hey, who's this?
Football on BTN is brought to you by Auto Owners Insurance. Protect what matters most with an Auto Owners Insurance independent agent. Find yours at AutoOwnersInsurance.com. And by John Deere. The off-road just got roomier. The new Gator XUV 825i S4. Now with seating for 4. And by MFS Investment Management. Innovative solutions for investors and their professional advisors.
28-0 lead at halftime, Wisconsin, as we get set to start the second half. Kevin Kugler with Derek Rackley back in the booth, and we're joined by brand new Hall of Famer Ron Dayne, the NCAA's all-time leading rusher, and now in the College Football Hall of Fame. You have to be thrilled. What an honor.
Wow, man, I still can't believe it. You know, it's almost like winning the Heisman is just like, you know, it still hasn't set in yet.
Well, you are certainly now immortalized forever among the ranks of college football's greats, and I know you always love the chance to come back to Camp Randall Stadium. You've got to enjoy watching this Wisconsin offense that has not given up the notion of running the football. They still love to run it, and off to a good start today on the ground.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know, and I love that. You know, Gordon got out there and had some great runs. White is playing well, too. And probably a little later we'll see Corey, you know, from Jersey, one of my mates.
Denzel Doe, good to see him back out there after limping off earlier, and Doe tripped up just shy of the 25-yard line, and the Badgers will start their first down and 10. You got the chance to be honored early in the game. Your old coach, now the athletic director, Barry Alvarez, out there to give you the honors, and I know it's not rare that you get back to Camp Randall. I know you live around the area, get the chance to come back regularly, but getting the chance to be honored by your head coach, that had to be extra special.
Well, it was great. You know, almost like when I got inducted to the Rose Bowl Hall of Fame. Coach Alvey was there, you know, and he's been there since the beginning. So, you know, he's like a dad to me, and, you know, I love him to death.
Ron, when you watch the Wisconsin offense and the running game, and I'm talking not so much this year, I'm talking about over the years since you've departed, do you kind of feel like you're the pioneer of how Wisconsin has become just a dominant running football team?
I don't know about that, you know, but I think I'd have been a little more greedier than those guys now. Everybody get 100. I think I'd have had 200. Maybe.
So you're saying there's going to be no 3 running back rotations if you were around, huh? It's Ron Dane and then nobody else.
Well, you know, I had buddies that was running backs behind me. So, you know, I get in first quarter, second quarter, be done. At least they get to play 2 quarters.
Wisconsin taking an early timeout, 14:24 to go in the third. We'll have more with Ron when we return to Camp Randall Stadium here on BT. Wisconsin's all-time leading rusher, the NCAA's all-time leading rusher, Ron Dane, joining us here in the booth at Camp Randall. And you are, I know, still a very popular figure when you make your way to Madison, Wisconsin. And when you look back at these highlights, what stands out for you most from your great career? Is there one moment?
Not really. I didn't really have too many games where I could just say that it was my best game, except for when we played Hawaii, when I had 339 yards.
that wasn't
Except
bad.
When I had almost 340.
At halftime.
At halftime. Well, this was in the first half. Now, you've shed the jacket, which is, again, showing how much smarter you are than Derek and I, who are here in long-sleeve shirts and ties. But you got all dolled up. You got the award. Coach Alvarez there. Everybody with a huge ovation. One of the biggest cheers of the day when you held up your award.
Yeah, it's great, man. Especially to hear all the guys that never really got to see me play, just see highlights, and they still cheer for me, and that's great. You know, I love it.
So, Ron, I was talking with our production team before the football game, and I said, you know what? Part of the reason that Ron Dane won the Heisman was because of his performance over the years against my Minnesota Gophers. And you're getting a chance to look at your performance, and I'll never forget that freshman year against Minnesota when you had 50 carries. Yeah, his first 50-carry game. Yeah, but, Ron, I will tell you this. Look at our performance over the years. We finally got your number towards my senior year.
Down. Yeah, broke me down. Broke me down. That's all right. You know, it's Big Ten, so, you know, I don't expect nothing less than that.
What that graphic doesn't show is that senior year he was on the bench by halftime, so it was 45-0.
Okay, Kevin. Okay, relax.
I wasn't supposed to say that? Oh, I'm sorry. That wasn't on the graphic. Stavi with a good throw, and there's Aberderis into Tennessee Tech territory at the 44-yard line. James Hughley on the tackle, a 19-yard pickup through the air.
You know, Ron, I was talking earlier in the ballgame about the evolution of Jared Aberderis' career, coming from a walk-on quarterback to an all-Big Ten consensus pick, and it has to be encouraging watching a growth of a player like Jared Aberderis over the years.
Wow, that's amazing, especially when he coming in as a walk-on and getting to see how he transferred, you know, transformation of himself, you know, from I want to be a walk-on to being a starter, getting a scholarship, you know, that shows that he's working hard. Look at that.
Almost able to make the acrobatic catch at the 25-yard line.
Yeah, he's a hard worker, so that's what we we bring out here in Wisconsin. Even our walk-ons get a chance to get a scholarship.
Yeah, hard worker, and I know he's got high expectations as well, and this is one of those, I'm sure, that when Jared watches the film, although it was a tough catch, it's one that he has shown that he can make over the years, and he'll probably be a little bit hard on himself that he didn't bring that football down.
Oh, without a doubt.
Jared Abrederis limped off a little bit. They're working on him on the sidelines on that right leg. That's what he came down on, making that dive. 2nd down and 10. White with the carry. Ron Dane with us in the booth, and you, I know, get the chance to see James White, Melvin Gordon, Corey Clement as the three-headed monsters. We look at Abrederis getting worked on the sidelines. What do you like about each of their running styles? Do you give them any pointers?
I can't really. They're all smaller backs than me, so they did a little more than I was doing. You know, if I couldn't outrun you, I had to run you over. So those guys, if they can't outrun you, they gotta get tackled. So.
Hey, Ron, I hate to be a bearer of bad news, but there's not too many running backs in the history of the position that are your size. So most of them are going to be smaller than you.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't really have too much advice for those guys that run hard.
Another strong pass. Melvin Gordon, of course, has had a very strong day today, over 100, and well, now at 140 yards on 9 carries.
You know, Ron, he was one of those guys that really boosted onto the first and onto
on that.
Yeah, Ron's made a couple of people miss down at that corner of the end zone before.
Well, you got to think a lot of them scared of me after about 40 yards. They're like, I'm not going to tackle him now.
I know I would have been. 1st and 10 at the 29-yard line. White with the carry, and James White able to lower the pads down to the 23-yard line. We're with Ron Dane up here in the broadcast booth, the all-time leading rusher in NCAA history, back to be honored for going into the College Football Hall of Fame. And it's got to feel like a capper to your great career. I mean, you never go into a career and say, I'd like to be a Hall of Famer someday, but what an honor to have at the end of the career.
It is. You know, I don't really know what to say. I thought you got to be over 50 to get in the Hall of Fame. So I was just like, well, I guess I'm getting in there a little early. You know? But it's a great honor. And, you know, it was a team thing, so I was always a team player, and we always did stuff together. So, you know, another thing that Coach Alvarez, you know, taught us as a team.
James White with a tough run there to get the 1st down yardage. A run that Ron Dane can appreciate. A stiff arm, some contact, a physical run.
See, I can't really help him out. He was 100 pounds, almost 40 or 50 pounds lighter than me, so I can't really help him out on that. I'm like, oh, great move, man. Oh, that was nice. Don't jump. You know, that's the worst thing. Don't jump. So.
Kevin, I tell you, we got a pretty good job. Last weekend, you got to call a game with Eric Crouch, and I got to work with him in the studio. And now we're getting to stand next to Ron Dane and talk with him. A couple Heisman Trophy winners in 1 week of action. It's a pretty good job.
Oh, that's great.
Would have been a nice little backfield duo to have on a college all-star team a few years ago. Eric at the quarterback, Ron behind him. I think he'd have run the ball for a few yards.
I don't think we'd have been meshed because he ran the ball a lot more than Brooks did.
He was taking the carries away, huh?
No, he's taking away from me. So.
Yeah, those 50-carry games might have been hard to come by.
Oh, I know, especially by having him.
Saw Corey Clement on the field.
There you go, Corey. You just get a touchdown, baby.
2nd down and 5. Pedersen, the motion man for the Badgers. Clement the carry. Clement banging his way inside and down inside the 2-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal.
Ron, curious to get your opinion. One thing that I've noticed is a big difference between now, 2013 to back when you and I were in college in the mid to late 90s, is it seems like these running backs are coming in much more like grown men these days. It seems like you were kind of the exception. You came and played really well from the first year as a freshman, but it seems like these guys are just coming in ready to play college football.
I know, and that's amazing because of the fact that even when I first got in here as a freshman, I didn't know half of what was going on. Oh, touchdown.
James White into the end zone for 6. An impressive drive for Wisconsin, marching down the field to put 6 more on the board.
Wow. 34-0, 35.
James White into the end zone. And this Badger offense rolling again against Tennessee Tech. A 12-play march for the touchdown, and White and Gordon celebrate the White touchdown.
You get down to inside the 5-yard line, you're really leaning on the offensive line to move the line of scrimmage, and we've seen it time after time in this ball game. The offensive front dominated.
And the extra point off the upright. Kyle French with the missed extra point, his first miss of the year and only the third miss in the last 2 years on an extra point for Kyle French. Ron Dane, one of the all-time greats in college football, number 33. Ron, thanks for stopping by. We've enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. I appreciate it.
Ron Dane, college football Hall of Famer. His alma mater up 34-0. Bascom Hall on the campus of the University of Wisconsin. 34-0 lead for the Badgers over Tennessee Tech with 9:13 to go in the third. Our Quicken Loans quarterback comparison, and no offense to Darian Stone, but it really is no comparison.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. Joel Stabby has just played an outstanding game. 87%, did have the incompletion to Jared Aberderis on the last drive to drop him down just a little bit, and outside of the interception that he thrown, there's just not a whole lot to criticize about his play so far this afternoon.
Yeah, he's been terrific, an 87% completion percentage. Wisconsin has looked awfully good now 2 weeks in a row. The three-time defending Big Ten champions trying to defend once again is Van Leer looking for some running room, and Van Leer down at the 25-yard line. So now Tennessee Tech will try to figure out a way to get things going. Leon Jacobs on the stop. Tech with only 57 total yards to 403 for Wisconsin.
Yeah, unfortunately, they just had a couple of things that went against them. That Tennessee Tech with the fumble early on put Wisconsin's offense right out on the field with a short field. They were able to cap it off with points, and Wisconsin just really has not looked back since that point early on in the first quarter.
At the 25-yard line, first down. Tennessee Tech set to go. Stone on the keep, and Stone caught before he can get back to the line of scrimmage by Connor O'Neill. And they were a little concerned with Derek Landish's injury. I'd say Connor O'Neill has filled his shoes admirably today.
No, I agree with you, Kevin. I think he's definitely taken care of business. Next man up philosophy has gone out and not only been what looks to me assignment perfect, but he's also been making plays in the open field.
Second down and 12 at the 23. Stone, good strong throw to the outside, and there's Peniel Jean on the tackle at the 32 after an 8-yard pickup. Weeknights join the conversation on BTN Live. It's the most comprehensive nightly college football discussion from the guys who love to talk about the game. BTN Live, weeknights at 6 Eastern on BTN. Third down and 4, and a flag thrown with some motion up front. Going to change 3rd and 4 to 3rd and 9, and that's not good news for Tennessee Tech.
False start. Offense number 9. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
That's your wide receiver. As a guy who played on the offensive line, when the wide receiver is called for the false start, how's that make you guys in the trenches feel?
You got to kind of keep your bite your lip a little bit, because trust me, offensive linemen do their fair of jumping off sides, but you know, they rightfully so, they're going to be looking outside saying, you guys aren't even supposed to pay attention to the quarterback. You're supposed to watch the ball. How are you going to jump off sides?
At the 26, 3rd down and 9. Stone flushed to the other side by Borland. And Borland coming from behind to get in on the tackle. He ran all the way from one side of the field to the other after turning Stone the other way to get a piece of that tackle.
Pretty much a half moon shape. He comes from the right side of the defense, number 44, left side of Stone, and loses his footing, but then just keeps after. That's one of the things as a defensive coordinator you want to see out of your players is never quit, going till the whistle. You just don't know what's going to happen. Stone could break a tackle, and Borland could be there to make a touchdown saving tackle.
6 tackles today for Borland, 15 on the year through a game and nearly 3 quarters. Zincini. Denzel Doe backing up. Good punt by Zincini. It'll bounce inside the 10-yard line, and it sneaks out of bounds at the 1. What a punt by Chad Zincini. took a terrific turn, and he punts it 70 yards and knocks it out at the 1-yard line. Pretty impressive kick for the senior from Hendersonville, Tennessee. He had a bad bounce earlier, but Zencini coming up with a good bounce here as it sails out of bounds at the 1-yard line. Badgers start deep in their own end when we return. Wisconsin 34, Tennessee Tech nothing. Jared Abbrederis back in the huddle. Looks like he's ready to come back out on the field. That's good news for the Badgers after he was being worked on during their opening possession of this third quarter. The officials have been summoned over to talk with Gary Anderson. Badger head coach came all the way out to the middle of the field to try to get their attention as Kurt Phillips looks on as well, our United States Marine Corps leader of the game. And of course, Kurt Phillips, somebody who we think we may see later on today. He had a chance to go in last week, asked the coach to give Mark Houston the reps, the freshman, because he needed the reps, epitomizing what the United States Marine Corps leader of the game is looking for. And this is what Gary Anderson was looking for. He wanted this one reviewed to see if it would come out to the 20.
I mean, extremely close on whether or not that ball went through the end zone or right over the top of the pylon. At the replay booth, either they did look at it and confirm that they had the right call, or they didn't even take a peek.
On first down, James White just trying to nudge that ball from the goal line. Gets a yard to the 2-yard line. Not a lot of room to work with here for the Wisconsin Badgers. Second down at 9, out at the 2-yard line. If there's ever a team that's built to come out of a situation like this, though, it's this Badger offense. Up the middle, James White to the 6-yard line. Flag down back at the 1. Corey Weber on the stop.
It's like it was thrown in the direction of Ryan Groy.
Holding, offense number 79. After distance penalty from the previous spot, replay second down.
Lamar Moore is the Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles stretching in the background. Watch Groy.
He's 79. See the right arm going across the shoulder pads and grabbing on. It's just a little bit too much. And especially when the defender goes to the ground, that's just kind of an alert to the referee who's standing right behind the offensive line of scrimmage. And then he sees that right hand across the defender's chest. An easy call for the referee.
I think Tennessee Tech may have ended up declining this penalty because it really doesn't do much down in that end other than give Wisconsin another down to work with.
Correction. The holding fouls decline, third down.
Watson Brown came out on the field and said, now wait a minute, I don't want to give him 2 more chances from down here. So now after that run, it's third down. And a timeout taken by Wisconsin, their second timeout.
Wisconsin. Team
they have
second.
1 remaining. 6:04 remaining in the third quarter, and Gary Anderson wants to talk things over with his offense a little bit.
I think they're trying to just make sure that they have the right call on, especially if they're going to dial up a pass play. They don't want the wrong call and potentially turn out disastrous with an interception.
Well, of course, coming up in 6 minutes, 4 seconds on the game clock, one of the great traditions in college football, jump around will happen here at Camp Randall. Everybody will jump around, including the broadcast team of Kevin Kugler, Derek Rackley, and our assorted BTN crew up here in the booth. Everyone in the booth, and I say this looking around, is required to jump around. We saw some footage last week. Wayne and John Jansen were jumping.
They were after it.
But there were some people in the booth who just flat out weren't getting into it.
They didn't even look like they were having a good time. I mean, we're working at a football game, right? It's a great time.
We're not going to have the problem with this group. In fact, they're already jumping up here right now. 6:04 remaining in the third, and then the jump around will happen in between the third and fourth. 3rd and 5. Stavi from the end zone. A low throw. Jared Abbrederis can't scoop it at the 10-yard line. Denario Donnell on the coverage. Now, this is last week as we go back in the Wayback Machine. See, look at Wayne. I mean, I won't criticize anybody's jumping. They're getting into it. But what about the guys in the foreground? What are they doing?
I think they knew they were on television, and they were quite nervous. They were thinking about their friends or their fraternity brothers that were going to give them a hard time.
No, but they're all jumping around in the stands.
Exactly. Now we're giving them a hard time because they weren't being festive in the moment.
It's embarrassing. Not so sure they're allowed to go to Wisconsin anymore. And Lear watches that one bounce over his head, takes a great Wisconsin bounce, rolling inside the 40 and down to the 36-yard line. Van Leer's an explosive punt returner. Maybe not the best decision there. A 58-yard punt with the bounce, and Tennessee Tech going to start with worse field position than they should have started with.
Yeah, a lot of times special teams coaches will tell the returner at certain times you just have to make a decision to catch the football and save field position, because if you allow the ball to hit the turf, especially when you're playing on an artificial surface, more often than not, that ball kicks in the favor of the punting team and will end up setting you back another 10 or 15 yards of field position.
At the 36-yard line, first down and 10. Stone with time and a completion to Cody Matthews for the first down out near the 48-yard line. Next weekend, it's another full slate of action as the Wolverines and Gophers both play at noon. The Spartans take on Youngstown State at 2 on the BTN alternate channel. Penn State hosts UCF, or you'll see Washington and Illinois from Soldier Field. Then we close out with Western Michigan and Northwestern next weekend on BTN and BTN to go. Go to btn.com/gamefinder to find the game available in your region. First down, up the middle for Stephen Bush into Badger territory at the 46-yard line. It's a defense that did not allow UMass to cross midfield other than 3 times the entire game last week, just to kind of underline how well this defense has played this year.
Yeah, they've been really suffocating today against Tennessee Tech as well, and I thoroughly expect to see a lot of new faces on both sides of the football.
Field for an injured Tennessee Tech player.
In order to get defensive and offensive players who maybe are second or third on the depth chart some valuable game time experience.
It will help out Stephen Bush, the ball carrier, who heads to the sideline. We mentioned it earlier. It is warm and muggy here in Madison, Wisconsin. Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles trying to figure out a way to compete in an FBS game. They're 0-28 all time against the FBS. Outscored by 36 points per game since 1997. But Watson Brown told us these games are really big for a couple of reasons. One, the kids love to come and play here. And 2, he thinks it helps them as they go along in the season.
It was funny that he followed it up by saying, well, I don't think it's as much fun as for me as it is for the kids, but they really enjoy it. It's not as easy for a coach and his staff to go against a team that, you know, you're thoroughly outmatched as far as physical and mental ability.
Looking down the sidelines, and the pass broken up by Peniel Jean. He did say it's an easy week for him as a head coach, though, because he doesn't have to do anything to motivate his kids. They're jacked up to play in a place like Camp Randall.
Quite a few of these players have played in some big-time games against Arkansas, against Oregon, against Iowa a couple of years ago. So it's not like this is a new atmosphere for a lot of the, especially the older guys on the team. They've played in some of these big-time stadiums across the country.
And a timeout taken by Tennessee Tech. The play clock was winding down, and Darian Stone didn't get the play in time. And so Watson Brown and his staff will head over to the sidelines and discuss. Watson Brown, we mentioned it earlier, the brother of Texas head coach Mack Brown, and they are closing in on a record, the record for most brother wins in NCAA history. Vince and Bill Dooley have 362, but the Brown brothers just closing in rapidly. They should get there this year.
Currently just 8 away, and of course when both teams win, they will get a couple of notches up on that scale, and you think it's just a matter of time before that happens. I don't think there's either of these coaches are looking to retire anytime soon, and there's probably a little bit of those phone conversations they have back and forth, say, you know, we got to make sure we coach long enough so we have this record, and not only just beat it by 1 or 2, let's make sure that we've got it by 20, 30, or 40, so there's no other brothers that come out and beat us in the future.
Watson Brown, 29 years as a head coach. He's got a lot of ties to Tennessee Tech from Cookeville, Tennessee. His grandpa was a high school football coach in Cookeville. Stone Going to scramble, trying to get away from O'Neal. He can't do it. Connor O'Neal started the tackle. Desmond Southward finished it. And what it means for Tennessee Tech is they're finished again on offense.
I got a chance to talk with Dave Aranda, the defensive coordinator for Wisconsin, yesterday, and I tell you, they seemed like they were a good bit concerned about Darian Stone, especially when he got into the open field. That's why they emphasized to us the ability for the defense to tackle in space, but I got to give Wisconsin credit. They have been doing an outstanding job of tackling in space because we've seen very few plays longer than 5, 6, 7 yards and really haven't seen Darian Stone get out and make any big-time plays.
And a tip of the cap to Connor O'Neal in part for that. He has been all over the field today, really keeping an eye on Stone when he scrambles, as this punt no doubt goes into the end zone from Zincini, and Wisconsin will start at the 20-yard line. But Connor O'Neal has picked up a lot of the slack, and they were really concerned about that position. They're very thin there.
Yeah, they didn't have a whole lot of depth at the inside linebacker position. They had some more depth on the outside, and they felt like if something drastic would have happened, they would have moved Ethan Armstrong, an outside linebacker, to play a little bit more inside. That doesn't seem to be the case today because Connor O'Neal has handled his business this afternoon. And again, I think it goes back to the fact that although this was his first career start, Kevin, he's played in 41 career games. He's not new to playing on the defensive side of the ball.
From the 20-yard line on first down for Wisconsin with a 34-point lead. James White. A first down to the 34-yard line. Move the chains for Wisconsin. After tonight's ESPN coverage of the Notre Dame-Michigan game, the final drive brings you all the highlights from around the entire Big Ten. The final drive tonight immediately following Notre Dame-Michigan. Any prediction on the Michigan-Notre Dame game, Mr. Rackley?
Put me on the spot, huh?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's the first game we've ever worked together, and I was told explicitly to put you on the spot multiple times.
Okay, well now, since you're putting me on the spot, I have picked Michigan in the ball game. I think it's going to be a close matchup, but I think the magic that we saw a couple of years ago in that night game is going to be back again for the Wolverines tonight.
Jared Abbrederis back again with a first down to the 45-yard line, picks up 12 yards. Here, Rudwall on the stop. That carry for White a moment ago has him knocking on the door of 100.
And we had an idea that that might happen again tonight, but you know, interesting, Andy Ludwig, the offensive coordinator, is continuing to work the passing game. You'd like to think that with a 34-0 lead, you might do a little bit more traditional ground and pound to keep the clock rolling, but I guess when your quarterback has been on fire like he has tonight, you're going to complete passes and keep the clock running anyway.
There's White picking forward to midfield. A 5-yard pickup for James White. Now 98 yards rushing for White. And our John Deere Gator game changer, how about Joel Stavy? When you go 21 of 25, 200 yards and 3 touchdowns in the third quarter, you're certainly a game changer.
Definitely changing the outcome of the game, and I think it's a major reason why it's 34-0. They've had outstanding balance, and yeah, 200 yards is not going to be earth-shattering as far as stacking them up against some of the other FBS passers this weekend, but not too many of them will have the completion percentage he's putting up today.
Clement on the carry on 2nd and 5. Clement showing good balance, has the first down at the 44-yard line. A 6-yard gain before Marty Jones could finally bring the big freshman down. Boy, he just looks like a Wisconsin back. 5'11", 210, and he's a true freshman.
That phrase, looks the part getting off the bus, right, Kevin? And I asked Coach Anderson about him yesterday. I said, tell me how it works when a new coaching staff comes in with the previous recruits that were already committed versus guys that you want to bring in. He said, you know what, I got to give all the credit to Thomas Hammock, our running backs coach. He really wrapped his arm. He made sure that he stuck with Wisconsin, and after they got him on campus, he decided he wanted to continue and be a Badger.
James White trying to make his cut, but a good open field tackle by Tevin McDermott. Began his career at Appalachian State. He throws James White for a 1-yard loss.
You know, going back to the running back rotation, and you've seen Wisconsin over the years, they've always made sure they've gotten 3 ball carriers reps early on in the season because they're always trying to develop that depth in case something were to happen later on in the season. A running back would go down for whatever reason, a nagging injury, maybe something more serious, but knowing that that was going to be the success of their team is having depth at the running back.
Screen pass, Abbrederis down the sideline. Abbrederis going all the way in for the touchdown. A flag is down back at the 42-yard line. Jared Abbrederis taking it for 6. The 45-yard touchdown's coming back.
Holding. Offense, number 9. 10-yard penalty for the spot of the block. Replay second down.
Almost his third 45-yard or longer touchdown of the year.
Well, the first thing is the defensive player ended up throwing his hands up in the air, Corey McDonald. So that was the first alert to the official. And then once he threw his hands up in the air, Jordan Frederick just had 2 hands full of jersey. And when you have those quick bubble screens, the wide receiver that's blocking in that position has to understand that as soon as the wide receiver clears you, you got to let go, because it's the easiest call for the official that's standing, Kevin, probably no more than 4 or 5 yards away.
So instead of a 45-yard touchdown, it's now 2nd and 18. Stabby, a great pocket to throw from. Short pass to James White. And decent yardage down to the 42-yard line of Tennessee Tech. 9-yard pickup, Bill Dillard on the stop. Winding down this third quarter. Jump around is coming. Derek Rackley is actually on the floor right now, stretching out.
I'm actually taking off my dress shoes and putting my Nikes on. So I've got nice cushion, a little bit of extra bounce in my step.
That's good. That's important. You want to have the bounce in your step for jump around.
Trust me, this stadium will be rocking enough. I won't need the bounce in my Nikes.
I'm anxious. We're going to actually bring in a member of the physics and math department here at Wisconsin to gauge the vert that you get during jump around. We've got graphics set up. It's going to be fantastic. Everybody's getting ready. Everybody is standing up. Get it ready to go, because jump around is about to happen in Madison, Wisconsin. Plenty to jump about today. Another shutout quarter pitched by this Badger defense. They haven't allowed a point all year, and through 3, they're up by 34. Get air. Woo! Telling you what, no one told me when I went into sportscasting that I would actually be required to do anything physical.
I need a trainer. My calves are starting to cramp up.
Luckily, no one appears to have blown an ACL or an MCL in the booth. There was vast concern from the crew in the truck.
And I will tell you, the fans in the stands that are sitting right below us are extremely proud of us.
They were videotaping us. Did you see the phone?
I saw a couple iPhones.
Camera phone? It's going to go on YouTube. It's going to be titled Idiots Jumping Around. Fourth quarter underway. Whew. Things will happen. They won't be described by us because we're hooked up to an oxygen machine at the moment. On first down, James White banging off a would-be tackler and down to the 37-yard line. James White knocking on the door of 100 yards. That one may have just pushed him over the 100-yard mark.
Kevin, is this the point where we apologize to the viewers if our performance tends to tail off a little bit because we're a little winded?
You know, the good thing is, Derek, that they've not had a whole lot of expectation for our performance in the previous 3 quarters. So they'll probably be wondering whether or not it makes a big difference. 4th and 3 at the 37. Wisconsin will go with a 34-0 lead. Stabby over the middle, a little bit low and incomplete, and Tennessee Tech able to get the hold intended for Jeff Duckworth. And the Golden Eagles of Tennessee Tech able to hang on. But James White in that drive did go over 100 yards. So you've got 2 100-yard backs. Melvin Gordon at 140. James White at $102.
And we still have 14 minutes and 13 seconds left of game clock. So, Corey Clement, it's now on you.
That's right. And a chance to see those trio of running backs continue their great work. 34-0, Wisconsin in control in the fourth.
Let's go back and look at the impact players we talked about at the top of the broadcast. Chris Borland, 5 tackles, a half for a loss, but I think he's affected many other plays. And Jared Aberdares, 8 catches for 62 yards. Not quite the 100-plus yard game he had last week, but still extremely effective.
And some pressure on Stone, forcing him to throw it away. Marcus Trotter in the backfield. No one near.
There's no foul for intentional grounding as the eligible receiver is in the area, number 9.
Boy,
Second
it looked
down.
like there was a lot of eligible receivers in the area. Cody Matthews was in the area, according to our referee.
And that's all that matters, Kevin, is that according to the referee, I think it was a little bit generous as far as being in the vicinity of Cody Matthews, and you sure did hear it from the crowd. They definitely thought that it was intentional grounding.
And they were not happy with the call. They have to be happy with the pressure applied by Marcus Trotter, guy who's, unfortunately for him, kind of behind one of the all-time greats at Wisconsin and Chris Borland.
Yeah, not going to get a whole lot of playing time when Chris Borland is in front of you. He just doesn't come off the field.
And the handoff to Cody Forbes, and not much running room up the middle. A pickup of 1. Our Duluth Trading hardest working player of the day is the guy at the bottom of that pile, Connor O'Neill. 9 tackles, 5 solo. Talk about filling shoes. He's filled in for Derek Landish in that.
Definitely seized his opportunity. 1.5 tackles for loss. Been extremely active, shooting through the gaps of the offensive line, and looks extremely comfortable out there getting an extended amount of snaps.
Badgers had to run some players on quickly. Pressure applied to Stone, and Stone will airmail it over the head of Steve Wilson, his intended receiver. The heat coming from Bo Allen right up the gut, chasing Stone out of the pocket and forcing the throwaway in 4th down.
I tell you, if you're a Wisconsin fan watching this new look 3-4 defense, you have to be extremely encouraged what you've seen through 7+ quarters of action, because it doesn't seem like anybody's been able to slow down the pressure as far as keeping the Wisconsin defenders and linebackers out of the opposing backfield. You just hope that carries into Big Ten play when they start playing stiffer opponents.
Or next week when the road trip to Arizona State hits.
Absolutely.
Big test early for Wisconsin next week. Zincini's punt, a shorter one. Doe at the 18-yard line. Kenzel Doe cuts back. Doe with a bit of an out and down just shy of the 35-yard line. Found some running room, and Kenzel Doe doing a good job of finding that little crease to get 16 yards on the return. Badgers back to work with a 34-0 lead.
Football on BTN is brought to you by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state.
Kevin Kugler alongside Derek Rackley, 34-0 Wisconsin here early on in the 4th quarter from Camp Randall Stadium in Madison. And the Badgers, we mentioned the trip next week to Arizona State, but it gets real testy right around the end of September. Very interesting date in Columbus.
Yeah, I think it's great that they scheduled Arizona State, and they'll be traveling down to the Southwest and probably be playing in some heat in that game as well. And then the heat comes on once the Big Ten schedule starts with Purdue and Ohio State to start that slate.
From the 34, Clement with the carry. Clement bouncing to the outside. Clement with a good run as he ducks out of bounds at the Tennessee Tech 49-yard line. Corey Clement got some work to do. 18 yards there. Tevin McDermott with the push-out.
Yeah, but he responded to us. We said it was his time to come into the ball game and see if he can get over 100 yards to make this 2 weeks in a row, and slides through the hole again. You know, I go back to the fact that so many good block downfield as well. We talked about the wide receivers, Jeff Duckworth getting in on the action, helping Clement pick up a couple of extra yards, but the patience and the body control that these young running backs already have coming into school is impressive.
Look at Clement go, just tripped up at the 35-yard line. Clement with another 17 yards. McDermott on the tackle. And Clement just continuing to move it.
Yeah, just so frustrating for a defense when play after play you see a running back just gashing through your front. And the defensive line for Tennessee Tech has got to be tired, pushing up against these guys that average over 300 pounds on the offensive line for Wisconsin. It's just tough to play with the same type of enthusiasm and energy after you've been banged up front so often.
50 yards now on 5 carries for Corey Clement. Again, the carry. Big hole. Clement inside the 25. Another first down to the 24. Add 11 more. He's at 61 yards already. White and Gordon over 100 today.
He's going to get a breather from James White. He just feels the backside of this play open up. It's good blocking up front by the offensive line. And again, he tries to press its front side to the left. And he ends up breaking it backside. And here's our updated numbers, just 39 yards away from making 2 weeks in a row with 3 backs over 100 yards.
And 3 games in the past 4 for Wisconsin, if they can get there. James White adding to his total with a nice little run on the outside to get to the 17, a pickup of 7. You know, Wisconsin played its first 1,170 games in school history, never having 3 running backs reach the 100-yard plateau in the same game. If Clement can get 39 more yards, it'll be the 3rd time in the last 4 games that it's happened, counting the Big Ten championship from last year.
Just an outstanding achievement, and it's a commitment to the run game, which go back and look at the recipe for winning a national championship with Alabama. What does Alabama do? They play tough defense and they run the football. That's the same type of philosophy that's happening with Wisconsin.
Clement trying to get to the outside. He'll lose yardage there. Very nice play on the edge by Malcolm Mitchell. We saw him go off with an injury earlier. He's obviously healthy and made a nice tackle of Clement.
Yeah, it's good to see him back in the ball game because they'll need him throughout the rest of the season. And too often we've been seeing Wisconsin running back sliding through tackles, but Malcolm Mitchell doing a nice job of holding on for dear life to get Clement down on the ground.
3rd down and 5. Clement now 7 carries, 59 yards as the Century Watch continues. 3rd down and 5. Stabby with the completion, and out of bounds goes Robert Wheelwright. Kevin McDermott on the tackle. Coaches told us yesterday this is a young man that's been making some very nice strides in practice.
Yeah, they said there's a good chance that we're going to see him in the ball game, and especially as the game gets a little bit out of hand, which it is right now. It's a very important time for him to come in and get comfortable catching footballs, especially catching footballs from the starting quarterback. Again, to get to the point where somewhere throughout this season there might be a rash of injuries at the wide receiver position, and they'll need some other players, some younger players, to come in and contribute.
At the 13-yard line, first down for Wisconsin. Clement the carry. Inside the 10, and Clement down to the 9. 4 more for Corey Clement. Jay Rudwall with the tackle. 2nd down and 6 now from the 9-yard line. This Wisconsin squad has not allowed a point this year. Didn't allow a point in the final 3 quarters of the Rose Bowl. Nothing last week, nothing today. If they get through the final 9:25, that's 11 consecutive scoreless quarters. So impressive to start the season this way as Clement with the carry, able to work down to the 5-yard line, about 1.5 yards short of the first. Avery Rollins on the tackle for Tennessee Tech.
And Rollins lost his headgear, have to come off for a play. And again, we've talked a lot about the offensive line tonight, but again, so many times the running backs get all the glory. They're the ones that we throw up on the screen, and they get all the yards, and they're the records that people are talking about. But this offensive line, even now that we've started to see a couple of the second stringers come in, they're still doing a good job of pushing that line of scrimmage towards Tennessee Tech's direction.
3rd down and 2. Clement looking for running room. Clement looking for the end zone, and he's a yard short. But a 1st and goal at the 1 for Wisconsin and Corey Clement.
Just wanted to give you guys a little bit of how it sounds in the trenches of guys banging pads together, and Clement continuing to move forward towards the line of scrimmage.
71 yards for Clement. Looking for 1 more and a touchdown, and he'll walk in for 6. 2nd touchdown of the year for the freshman Corey Clement. And Wisconsin up by 40.
That's one of those plays where Clement's going to go back and they'll watch film, and he's going to end up tapping Sam Arneson on the back and say, I'm sorry that I ran you over in the end zone. Watch Clement hit number 49 and just basically push him into the end zone, saying, I apologize about that, but I was just trying to make sure I got into the end zone.
Well, at this point, the drama that remains is whether or not he can get to 100, as the extra point from Jack Russell is good. And a 41-0 lead for the Wisconsin Badgers. So far this season, 86-0. The Badgers have outscored their opponents, rolling at Camp Randall. Well, this happened at the start of the fourth quarter, the excitement of jump around. 41-0, 8:28 to go in the fourth, and Badgers rolling here. Our Chevrolet scoring drive, an impressive 10-play, 66-yard march, and that might be the end of the day for Joel Stabe. Activity on the sidelines. Houston warming up at quarterback. Jack Russell with the kickoff from the goal line. Ladarius Van Leer. And here at 21 goes out of bounds. Now, apparently, our producer, our director of the crew in the truck, wants to compare jump around form. Last week, Dwayne Larrabee, John Jansen. This week, our booth, it's no comparison.
Watch it and weep, Larrabee and Jansen.
Yeah.
That is some, number one, the excitement level today is just through the roof.
Right.
And number two, I'll take my vertical and yours over Larrabee and Jansen's any day of the week.
Although I will say, and you know, not to, but we'll criticize our own. John Tobias, our stats guy, he wasn't jumping. He was just moving his arms around. Like he was shadow boxing.
Just
what are we doing
quite
here?
get into the mood. It'll happen at some point, though.
I mean, I know he had a long travel day, but I mean, still. I'm not even sure what that, like the twist or something happening here.
Chubby Checker?
Chubby Checker showed up. The option pitch to Ziegler, trying to turn the corner, and Ziegler out of bounds at the 24-yard line. Leo Russo with the tackle along with C.J. Raynard. And some of the second-teamers getting the chance to play now for the Badger defense. Russo, the freshman from right here in the state of Wisconsin, redshirted last year in his first year with the Badgers.
Are those supposed to be push-ups? Now, I understand
he's got a giant nose.
I understand he has headgear in the way.
Yes, I mean,
but that was a pretty poor effort, Kevin. Now, I understand that you have to do a lot of push-ups when you're winning 41-0 and keep having to do them all afternoon. But if you're the Wisconsin Badger mascot, you understand in the non-conference slate, you're going to get your workout in. And I don't know if he needs to turn his headgear to the side or something, but those aren't push-ups in my opinion.
I think it's become rough when the analyst is, you know, basically just calling out the Badger. Just saying you're not getting it done. 3rd and 4 at the 27-yard line. Stone under duress. Got rid of the football and the completion to Neil Ganaway for the first down to the 34-yard line. Coverage from Peniel Jean out on the edge. And for Tennessee Tech, that is only their second first down in the second half. They have just not been able to move the football at all. And they're at the 34-yard line with a first down. Second time they've converted on 3rd today as well. They've just struggled to move the chains. Here's Van Leer. Van Leer covered up quickly at the 37-yard line. Raynard again out there on the coverage. Also, Jack Cicci, the freshman walk-on, getting a chance to play. True freshman walk-on from Somerset, Wisconsin, who is in there because of the depth or lack thereof at inside linebacker.
Yeah, and we mentioned that, and so this is an opportunity to build a little bit of depth. And yeah, you'll just say that they're not going to get a ton of valuable experience, but just the fact that they've been out on the field, they've heard the calls from the defensive coordinator, from the linebacker on the field, making the calls, makes them just a little bit more comfortable if they have to come into the game at a more important situation during the season.
6:25 remaining in the fourth. And a 3rd down and 7 here for Tennessee Tech. They won their opener against Cumberland 63-7, but pretty significant step up in competition when you go from Cumberland to Wisconsin.
I think that's a fair assessment, Kevin.
3rd and 7. Pressure again from the backside as that one's going to be intercepted. Picked off by Musso at the 26-yard line. His first career interception.
I talked earlier in the game when Desmond Southward should have turned into a punt returner. The same principle applies for a defensive back. At some point, you have to stop being a DB and you got to turn into a wide receiver. Nice adjustment by Musso, realizing that the wide receiver is not going to be able to make a play. Van Leer on the football. Turn around, be a wide receiver, make a big play for the defense.
Earlier in the day, we talked about your keys to the game. So far, they're doing it.
Yeah, so far they are. Again, the balance. I mean, we knew it was going to be skewed a little bit more towards rushing yards and then tackling in space. When you're basically shutting your opponent out for total offense, I'd say you're tackling in space.
Corey Clement breaking the century mark in a big way. Clement all the way for the touchdown. 75 yards for Corey Clement, and it's 47-0 Badgers.
History in the making, Kevin, seeing back-to-back weeks of 3 backs going over 100 yards. Pay attention to number 1, A.J. Jordan. Watch him come flying into the screen. Look at the speed. That's big playability by this Wisconsin offense, and we've seen it time after time, whether it's the first-string offense or you get down to the third-string tailback. Everybody's got the ability to make a big-time play.
And Corey Clement, the last to reach 100, but the rushing leader for the day. 147 yards for Corey Clement. And now, for the 3rd time in 4 games, 3 backs over 100 yards for Wisconsin. Again, it didn't happen in the first 1,170 games of Wisconsin football. It's now happened in 75% of their games over the last 4. Impressive.
You know, and moving forward, defensive coordinators are just going to be losing sleep trying to figure out how to stop this offense. But I want you to watch over on the left-hand side of your screen. Number 1, A.J. Jordan. Look at the speed on this young man catching up to help out his partner, Corey Clement. The lead block. If he doesn't come out and make that block, Clement may not get into the end zone. Again, to me, that's everybody on your team buying in to trying to make sure that the entire offense is successful. Boy, I tell you what, I'd like to see A.J. Jordan a little bit more. That young man's got some speed on him. Maybe put him back on kickoff return along with Kenzel Doe.
I'm taking him on my team in a foot race. Kickoff near the sideline and bobbled out of bounds by Van Leer. If he doesn't touch it, it's going to go out of bounds and be a penalty. Instead, they start at the 6.
Now, unfortunately, it's kind of been the story of the afternoon for Tennessee Tech. Just hasn't had anything going their way. Couldn't get offense going, turnovers on defense. And then Van Leer, who's been one of their most steady players, makes a mistake on special teams. Again, here's another look at the updated numbers. 3 running backs going over 100 yards for back-to-back weeks. And James White, if you're James White, 22 for 109, you'd love that day. And he's the 3rd best on his team.
And I know people will say, all right, well, show me what the competition was. It was UMass and it was Tennessee Tech, but I don't care who you're playing, Derek. To have backs go over 100 times 3 in back-to-back games, that's impressive. That's hard to do in practice, and they've done it in game action. Very impressive, and this Badger team is going to be real interesting to watch this year.
We showed you one angle of the touchdown by Clement. Here's another angle. Watch Jordan come basically right into your living room with the speed to get a lead block.
Defense number 99, 5-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Really cool angle there of the run by Clement.
Kudos to our production crew and all of our cameramen doing an outstanding job of getting some great shots this afternoon.
Yeah, no question about that. Is that one at the 11-yard line after the offsides penalty? 48-0 Wisconsin. Tennessee Tech. And the give to Cody Forbes. And Forbes to the 12. Vince Beagle on the tackle. So what do you make, Derek, of this Wisconsin squad? 2 games into the season, they've not allowed a point. They've put 45 and 48 on the board. They've done exactly what a good team is supposed to do against a team that is overmatched by them.
I would agree with you, Kevin. And I think if you just rewind a week, I mean, you could talk about how many FCS teams ended up beating FBS teams. And when you schedule these opponents, you're supposed to put up results like this. So I agree. Wisconsin is taking care of their business. Now, from a national perspective, a lot of people will say, all right, let's take this with a grain of salt. But you go back and you look at how they've been able to do this. They've been playing stingy defense. Nobody's been scoring on them. They're running the football like they have. And then they got Joel Stampe going in the passing game today. So maybe for an opponent next week like Arizona State, it's going to be a different story, but they're going to go into that game with a ton of momentum because of their performance the last 2 weeks.
776 yards from the running backs in 2 weeks. That is outstanding work by that trio of backs. And the pass incomplete on the sidelines. T.J. Raynard out there on the coverage for Wisconsin. And it'll bring up a 2nd down for Tennessee Tech. The Gary Anderson era off to a record-breaking start here at Wisconsin. And to their credit, they've taken a program that they took over and have really figured out a way to keep the great stuff that Wisconsin had in place already and utilize it to their best advantage so far.
You know, and to take that another step, Kevin, there's jobs that open up across the country, and very few of them are like this one in the fact that it was a coach that ended up leaving for another opportunity, but the team was loaded with talent at the running back position, at offensive line, and of course on defense. So many upperclassmen and seniors are coming back. A lot of head coaches, when they take over a program, they don't have this much talent or experience to come in, and they end up having to try to build that through recruiting, and sometimes it takes a couple of years.
Well, not to mention the fact that you walk into a situation as a head coach where you've got to have one of the best AD situations for a football coach in all of college football. You've got a guy who was a tremendous football coach and is a football AD. A lot of times athletic directors anymore are your business guys. Barry Albers is a business guy, but he's also a football guy, and Gary Anderson has to love that kind of support.
Yeah, knowing he's got 100% backing from the administration, and I'll tell you what, being able to bounce some ideas off a guy that's won some Rose Bowls would be something I'd definitely take in my back pocket.
T.J. Raynard on the tackle again. Now, next week will be very interesting for Coach Anderson and company. The trip to Arizona State, take on the Sun Devils, and then they jump right into conference play. BYU later in the schedule, so they have that non-conference game later, so a chance to get into conference a week earlier than most.
Yeah, not only is the competition level going to step up next week when they face Arizona State, but you also have to remember this is going to be the first road trip, and it's going to be the first road trip with a new staff. So a lot of the players are going to have to get used to how Gary Anderson and his staff conduct meetings, how they travel. It's just going to be a little bit of an adjustment that all the players will have to get used to.
Bobbled snap and buried at the 16-yard line. Once the snap was bobbled, Warren Herring was all over Chad Zincini, dropped him back at the 16-yard line, and Wisconsin takes advantage of another Tennessee Tech mistake.
I'm out on the field for an injured Tennessee Tech player.
We were talking with Watson Brown this week, and he was mentioning that we are a pretty experienced team. One of the only positions that's new is our long snapper, and it's Ben Vianney, who's a transfer from Minnesota Crookston. And he said that he's been really good for him throughout camp, throughout the first game. But we're seeing a poor snap come back that hit the ground in front of the punter, and it just really messed up the timing for the operation.
Well, that's the last thing Ben wanted to do. He's from Hortonville, Wisconsin, has 30 folks here in the stands. He'd never been to Camp Randall despite growing up in Hortonville, and he's a fascinating story. He went down, enrolled at Tennessee Tech, and then went to the football office and said, I'm here, I've long snapped before at Crookston, I'd like to have a chance at Tennessee Tech. He had no offers coming out of high school, had to sell himself everywhere he went, and unfortunately for him, he has the long snap error here.
Yeah, bounces just about a yard or two in front of the punter, and I can tell you from experience, it's something that you never want to happen. When people are talking about you on a broadcast, it's generally because something went wrong.
I can imagine no one feels worse for him than my partner, Eric Rackley, because that's the only time the long snapper usually gets mentioned is when something goes wrong.
Yeah, unfortunately, every once in a while we'll get down there, we'll make an open field tackle, or we'll down a punt inside the 5-yard line, but more often than not, it is when something bad happens on a snap.
Lewis had that first carry, 2nd and 9 from the 16. Another look here, trying to pick his way forward, and not a lot of running room, but not really a big urgency right now for Wisconsin. They're just trying to milk this clock, get done, and move on to a date with Arizona State. There's the quarterback, Bart Houston, the freshman from Milton, Wisconsin. Again, getting the chance to get reps ahead of Kurt Phillips, the senior, who declined the reps last week when he had the chance and said, no, the youngster needs them more than I do.
Phillips knowing that when he comes into the ball game, it's going to be more of an important situation. He's played football before. He's played in big-time games. He knows what the atmosphere is like, but Bart Houston has not, so that's an area where they can get him in the ball game, and Phillips will continue to take his reps in practice, learn through the game mentally, and then once they get into much more stiff competition, the Arizona States, the Ohio States of the world, that's where he would likely have to come in and make a play for the offense.
Corey Clement gets a chance to get a carry and gets a pair down to the 13-yard line. That'll put him at 149 yards. A very impressive day for that trio of backs. And now the kick team's going to come on, and young kicker Jack Russell, the sophomore, is going to have a chance to try a field goal. It'll be a 31-yard field goal attempt for Russell. And the kick off the upright. We saw an extra point go off the upright on the other end of the field earlier. This field goal try by Russell clangs off the upright, and it stays 48-0.
So unfortunately, for just a couple of plays, it's going to be an average performance again by Gary Anderson standards, I'm sure, once they go back and look at the tape, because not only do you never want to miss an extra point, but when you get close in, you're expecting your kickers to be able to make those field goals. And so although they improved on the coverage units by cutting down any big-time returns for Tennessee Tech, they've had some struggles in the kicking game. I would think that they're going to end up having quite a few kicking periods this next week in practice.
We'll see if they go live special teams again this week as they did last week. As he said, if they don't clean it up, it will cost them a game, and those kicking errors certainly can cost you a game in a tight ball game down the road here for Wisconsin. Much running up the middle because Marcus Trotter was there to close the door. Final 45 seconds continuing to roll off here. Wisconsin about to go 2-0. They've started 2-0 after this game in now 11 of the last 12 seasons. I don't know if they've done it in quite this fashion, outscoring their foes 93-0 to start a season. Trying to find a little bit of running room, not much there, to the 26-yard line, and that may be the final play of this ball game. And it will be, as everybody makes their way onto the field, and Wisconsin fans with a lot to cheer about. 2 games into the season, the Badgers are 2-0 with a dominant 48-0 win over Tennessee Tech here at Camp Randall Stadium. For Derek Rackley and our entire BTN crew here in Madison, Wisconsin, I'm Kevin Kugler saying so long. Our final score today, Wisconsin 48, Tennessee Tech 0. The preceding has been a presentation of the Big Ten Network. Let's head now to our Chicago studios for the State Farm postgame report.